Styles bring the heat. Boss your high, 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 boss your high. Montreal be my city, no rubber boots, seen a bad biddies, those orange tulips and smoke mix. In abundant greenery, we really about them trees. Mixed community, code switching for the powers to be. Immigration bred beauty, but the master trying to keep us on leash. Twist legalese, propaganda flame, opportunity. Teach the people to snitch over words they see. The elegant dream. Hey yo, Valerie, a little something caught my eye. Nice of you to speak for me so kindly. The mirror's for you, we don't need to say hi. She said the English isn't appreciated by minds. She spoke with authority, we know she lied. Stick to the bike path before we vote you out like vibe. This a wide world in a spicy time. I tell them where I'm from, like boss your high, 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 boss your high. Black man, let me spark a light. New battle, same fight. Different languages, unite, spread love. Let's start saying bonjour, hi, how you doing? What's your name? Mine is J.S. I'm fluent when I speak French, yes.
What do you think a plant is?
Valerie, planted a seed with a mission to divide through the map you'll see. Speak to me French, I can understand you. Speak to your English, you understand me. We both make money, so tell me what's the beef. Quebec got us feeling like we some enemies. The oppressor tells bold lies. Read between the lines, you can see the slave vibes. Boss your high, 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 basics, boss your high, 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 boss your high. It's Montreal, home of the most beautiful women on earth. Put you in the mood, plus the food is so diverse. So many sights to see, yeah, your eyes might hurt, but there's a hidden division, listen where it diverge. Two languages in a constant battle, it seems. Need a microscope to see the stitches and the seams. In the macro view, we should be focused on the green powers that be in between us and the larger industries. What we need is new seeds like Varin, 5 roses. New ways of thinking that the common man won't oppose. Then we can make some changes that will benefit us all. One hand watches the other hand, let's get it on. The go complains when you say cool, but why? Being multilingual is a superpower you should try before the presence of our future goes bonjour bye. We should reconsider the picture of bonjour high.
Elle veut parler pour nous, elle veut parler pour nous, elle veut parler pour nous, on est dans les gros. Où c'est que t'as grandi, une mairesse qui vient pas d'ici déjà c'est senti. Je t'ai parlé, je l'ai ressenti, ce sont en post que j'ai sur web, je l'ai retranscrit. L'amour, le love, je suis pour both. Valérie, concentre-toi sur la ville, elle est toute glauque. Mes lignes, ils ont déjà toutes quotes. Je t'aborde de me présenter à la mairie en fur coat. Riri, en d'autres mots, réfléchis. La confrontation, c'est pas la bonne stratégie. Le français, c'est d'ennemis comme ça. De l'anglais dans mes bars, j'en ai mis comme ça. Bonjour, hola, konnichiwa. J'suis la version portugaise, de retour au bercail. J'marche dans ma vie, j'vois des failles. Nevermind, les moves, on va les faire, oh non. Elle veut parler pour nous. Elle veut parler pour nous. Elle veut parler pour nous. On est dans les tourlots. Boss your high, 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 boss your high.
Someone else can't stop this piece, freedom, fuck you well. Over it, this, that, move on over kids, this, that, I'm here, played over's played, so keep to the door, not a slave to the show, over broke. We were setting lines, cause tonight this here's a vibe. Too grimy for normal times, this my diary of mine. Come into life with colorful style, everybody's.
What's up, everyone? Oh, I'm going to start the recording. Record to the cloud.
Recording
That's right.
in progress.
we use the Zoom recording to send that to the cloud, which gives us a transcript. And then with ChatGPT, our perspectives can get timestamps, and it's way better to automate your workflows. That's not what this podcast is. This podcast is myself, Holden Stefan Roy, and my co-host over here, Liddy Bro Flacco, and we out here talking about our perspectives on the different things that happen in the world. And this is episode 75, which is a pretty cool number. Almost on the way to 100, but like 75 is not too shabby. Today we'll just be taking a look at some of the things that happened in 2024. We have one of our little meme calendar things, which I flashed up that everyone but Flacco can see right now. And then, we'll go through that throughout the episode, take a look back at last year now that we're in the new year. Off-cam Chris is here. Off-cam Chris, he's like, let me on the call so I can just be off-cam Chris. I feel you. I feel you in your soul, Chris. Happy New Year's, everyone. This is our first episode of 2025. We don't know how regular we're going to be, as we said, with the Our Perspectives show per se, but we will be here streaming with different types of content, and we'll be popping up even with other extra stuff we have planned throughout the year. Possibly doing things like creating independent videos for cinematic perspectives outside the stream, dabbling in some music reviews. Lindell's connected successfully. We were Lindell. We were in fact just reading your comment, as you can see over here, Lindell. We've got the whole thing right over there. We were taking a look at that. So if you do comment and you do want to talk to us, we want to engage with the community and make this the year where we really make that pop off and we turn this into a much bigger thing than it's been. And it's been such a good journey so far. Anyway, how have you been, Flacco?
Good. How you been?
I've been all right. It's been a bit busy week, but just a lot of work. New Year's happened, which was a hectic time period. And then immediately after New Year's, between we'll say the 2nd and the today, it's like this weird middle ground where no one knows how to behave because you're not quite in party mode anymore. You're just kind of you've gone through all that, but you're also not quite back at work. And it's like this 3-4 day limbo until Monday rolls around and life just unpauses and everyone's back at it. So that's what the week kind of felt like.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we do have, I guess we can get into the calendar of events and whatnot. Just make sure it's
okay. Let's do it.
Share the screen. And boom. There we are. Y'all can see it too. It's good for everybody out there. Awesome. Thanks again for everyone coming through. Make sure to also share the show with your friends so that we can have more people pulling up and have a better time with it all. So there we go. Let's start with January. I don't even remember who Dude in the Mask is.
That's the guy that I believe jumped over the judge's bench and choked out the judge.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the moments that I barely remembered. I do remember the cup though. The cup
Stanley Cups
survived the fire. Stanley made way more money than it ever could have made with any marketing campaign it ever had.
Yep.
You gotta if you have a good product and a fire, it survives. All I know about that is if I buy Stanley, it's gonna survive. And then Cat Williams interview starting off.
Unquestionably one of the biggest moments of the year.
Yeah, starting off a year of chaos. I remember everyone was saying this was gonna set the tone for everything, but
it did.
Yeah, I guess it really did.
It really did.
A lot of stuff. Although he just kind of disappeared. He came through. He dropped his little Cat Williams bomb in January, and then he just did his thing and made money for the rest of the year, and you did not hear from him again at all.
Right.
I don't
True
think I heard
story.
another word come out this man's mouth.
Nah, we definitely heard more words come out of his mouth as he responded to everybody who responded to him. But for the most part, that was the viral moment, was him being on Club Shay Shay, saying all the things that he said, and then the aftermath of that.
Right. Yeah. And then Club Shay Shay, kind of, I guess he got a couple of moments this year, but
A couple, the very next month, February, he has another moment because that moment with Monique is with him.
yeah. Do you think that any of this is really going to last, though? Like, sometimes when you look at these moments, they're like,
I mean, I think that's what we discussed last year at the end of looking over the whole year. Is like,
hey,
what are those? What, or actually, that's what we discussed earlier this year when we went over this calendar. Was like, what moments will end up being the
it's
biggest
like,
moments
even
of
it's
the
like,
year?
even if like the Cat Williams thing is one of the biggest moments of the year, it's like, I'm not feeling like in 3-4 years we're going to talk about it. We're talking about it now because it's kind of recent and it set a tone, but it's set up for bigger moments that kind of are going to be talked about rather than his moment will be like the footnote in a lot of other people's moment videos. That's what I
Yeah,
think about it.
I mean, it depends. I'm not a fan of Cat Williams. I'm not a fan of that interview. Um, on one hand, on the other hand, uh, it's the most viewed interview on YouTube.
Mm,
So,
valid.
you know, that's got to count for something for however long that like holds that record. I still remember that moment when Oppa Gangnam Style came out,
Right.
and it was the most viewed music video in the history of music videos on YouTube at that time when it came out.
Right.
So the same way that forever holds that piece of memory in my head because of having that title is the way that the Cat Williams will hold that title, interview will hold that title for however long it does. So, you know,
But even to
I
that
mean,
end, like, it's not like Gangnam Style is a thing that anyone thinks that much about anymore. Like, it still gets thrown up here and there. That's what I mean. Like I feel like, yes, it's going to be a relevant moment, and it did break records, but it feels very still like
I mean,
in
we
the
talked about
grand.
this last week, right? Where like you'd never know until years have passed.
Right.
I was just watching a reggaeton documentary on Amazon. I believe it was Amazon. Um and they were talking about the virality or the popularity of Gasolina and how
Mm,
Gasolina took reggaeton across the world and everybody was bumping Gasolina. It was one of the biggest Billboard hits ever for Spanish music. Um, but it turns out it wasn't that big of a number one because it wasn't a year long number one. Later on in that same documentary, it turns out that the biggest reggaeton song up until this moment right now that we're living in was Despacito.
right.
And Despacito was the number one, and it was the first Spanish number one in 20 something years. And then the next, like when I looked up the numbers, right? Which we can do, uh,
Yeah. What
number
are we looking at?
one, number one Spanish songs on Billboard.
Hot Latin songs or list of Latin songs on the
List of
Billboard.
Latin songs on the Billboard 100, Wikipedia, right?
Done. Got it.
So, um, yeah, you could see the number ones, right? Like in the 90, 1950s to 1990s, it's only La Bamba
Right.
and
Yeah.
Macarena, La Bamba and Macarena, and then there's not another number one until the 2020s
Yeah,
with,
because even
or yeah,
Gasolina, it's not
2010
number one, right?
with
It's
Despacito.
32.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, hold on, let's see, where was
No,
it?
there's no number one over there.
Gasolina, Gasolina,
Despacito.
Gasolina, Daddy Yankee, number 32. It peaked at number
Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
It went all the way
That's
around the world. It's crazy because Oye Mi Canto was a bigger song, but nobody really thinks about Oye Mi Canto. They think about Gasolina when they think about reggaeton starting.
I mean,
Um,
it's because I think like Gasolina might not have been number one, but it still got a lot of play in a
it got
lot.
a
Like,
lot of
yo,
play. It
Gasolina
went
was
around the
like all
world.
over my high school. Like,
Yeah.
it was.
Nah,
Yeah.
in the interview, um, let's talk about it. One of my favorite topics of all time. Talk about that. I love talking about all the time. New York City, right? Like
Of
Gasolina wouldn't
course.
have been Gasolina if New York City didn't break that record the way that it did. New York City DJs would play the instrumental to Gasolina behind themselves while they would talk on the radio all the time for years. So that helped contribute to the like immense popularity of Gasolina. Then Gasolina traveled all the way across the world. He performed that song in Japan, all over Asia, all over Europe. Or he performed it in Russia. He, like Daddy Yankee was talking about how huge it was, but and then Despacito is the only one that becomes a number one. You know what I mean? So like it's one
But
of those things
also, I
where
think it only became a number one after, because I don't think it was the original. I think it's the remix with Justin Bieber that becomes the number one hit.
I mean, from what I understand now, from what I understand from that documentary, it was already a huge hit, and then Bieber asked to get on it.
Well, like the version that's the number one hit is the version with Bieber, according to Wikipedia. I don't know if the other version also went number one beforehand. I just remember hearing that with it because it's one of those, stories. Either way, that's not the.
Nah, it's just listing the Despacito song. When I click on it, it says Luis said the song Puerto Rico produced a remix version featuring Canadian singer Justin Bieber was released on
And that,
April, which
and
helped to improve the chart performance of the
yeah.
song in numerous countries, including various number one position. Despacito has been widely, yeah, but it says it helped improve its number one in many places, but it was
Like,
already
I'm
number
pretty
one.
sure it went number one in the U.S. and Canada with Bieber, and it was already number one and possibly in like Latin America without them.
Nah, it was already number one in America without Bieber. From what I understood when I watched the documentary, it was number one at sporting events. That's what made it number one. Then Justin Bieber jumped on the song after he heard it at a sporting event already. It was already
Right.
huge. So yeah, nah,
Right.
he didn't add to it, especially not when you think about the fact that the song came out in January and then Bieber didn't come on the remix until April. 4 months. It was
Right.
already a number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah. I was looking
yeah,
here
so
and it's.
right, the point being, we don't know what will be big until you get the perspective of, right, like you can look back, we can look back, and that's why I asked this question about like what's the most famous Spanish songs to you, you know what I mean? um
'Cause I would have thought Macarena, but apparently
you would,
nowhere near it.
nah, Macarena is there, it's number one, it's number one.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah.
La
But like
Bamba,
most famous, like
Macarena,
I don't know.
La Bamba, Macarena, Despacito, and then uh Cardi B's I Like It Like That
Yeah.
are the only number ones from that are Spanish songs. Those are the only number one songs. I'm still scrolling. Mind you, don't get it twisted. Bad Bunny has gotten wild close, mad times. Like number 4, number 5, number 3, number
Yeah,
2. He's
it's
just never
coming
had
for
a
him.
number one. Oh, it's definitely coming for him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. List on Billboard's year-end Hot 100 songs. Macarena, Despacito didn't even make a number one year-end. That hit number 2 year-end.
Right. I
The
mean,
Latin songs on Billboard's greatest Hot 100 songs of all time list. Macarena, Despacito, and La Bamba all hit. So, like, I asked that question thinking that, right?
right.
And when I asked people that, that is not the answer that I got. Nobody answered with any of those songs. You know what I mean? Um, Another song that I would have thought would have been in the number one is Feliz Navidad.
Actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I mean,
Maybe
cause,
it's not
like,
considered a Spanish
well,
song.
because you know what that, but it's also, because like the way this is tracked by like the RIAA or whatever, so it's gonna be on the individual masters that get released. So it's possible something like Feliz Navidad is just so split amongst like a gajillion recordings that none of them really chart. Like it
Nah,
itself.
I'm looking at the page right now for Feliz Navidad. What happened with Feliz Navidad is the same thing. I just finished also watching a documentary about Wham, um, which is
Mm,
George Michael's band and their Christmas song, their famous Christmas song, which I never even heard
Last
before that
Christmas is
document.
it's the weirdest
I
song to me.
I was not familiar with that song. The point being, though, that song just never reached number one. Reaching number one is very hard. And so when I'm looking at the charts for Feliz Navidad, um, it just never charted at number one. It has hit high numbers, just not number one. Hit number 6 on the US Billboard charts, number 3 on the US Holiday 100 charts. Um, it hit number 1 on Sweden's charts, but it
That's an
never hit.
accomplishment.
But it never hit number 1 in America.
Yeah, I guess hitting number one
Uh,
is a very complicated thing, especially because it's been so gamified for so long. But valid.
yeah. So the point being, though, we won't know until we're removed, right? Opa Gangnam Style is one of them songs where, like, yeah, it doesn't get mentioned all the time nowadays, but it's also not a forgotten song, not to me. Like, it's one of the since the internet era, it's one of the most famous. I would name it one of the top 5 internet era songs of all time.
I
I'd
definitely
put it
like.
up.
I wouldn't say like it's forgotten per se. I just question like how relevant it will all be outside of like trivia. I guess maybe it's all just trivia at the end of the day. But it feels like Gangnam Style was this moment, and you either live the moment and appreciate the moment, or you have no idea what the moment was, right? And I feel like this Cat Williams thing was kind of like another little, like a smaller moment, to be honest. But like, still, it was a big moment. But like, as time's gone on, I feel like it's just been overshadowed by all the other moments that happened to a point where you almost forget the Cat Williams interview happened until you're reminded of it. Or at
I don't
least
know.
for me.
I guess yeah, I think it's a for you thing. Like, if you ask black people, I'm pretty sure that Cat Williams is like top 3 moments of this year.
Mm, that's fair. I mean, shit, yeah, my dude sampled Cat Williams for my song, so I get to. It's a big deal for him. It's a big deal for a
Yeah,
lot of people.
yeah. No, it was a huge, huge deal. I mean, let's keep on running through it, right? And we'll do what we did that other episode, and talk about our top 3 moments of the year when we are done looking at this entire list and trying to
Right.
cover everything.
Uh,
Moving on to February, we had uh, Usher hugging up on Alicia Keys at his show, where people were like questioning what Usher's breaking up relationships left and right. Um, Swizz Beats responded with "You're all insecure little bitches." Um, there's a picture of I forgot her name, Blueface's baby mom.
Christian Rock.
Right.
Christian Rock.
Krishan Rock.
I don't know how to
Krishan
say it.
Rock.
Yeah.
And then we had Monique up at Club Shay Shay. And then in between February and March, we have Shannon Sharp standing there. And I believe that that's representation of his um viral sex tape, his audio sex tape, um of him going live while he's having sex with a woman. Um,
Yeah, it feels like honestly, all of that feels so insignificant in this moment. Like Christian Rock is basically forgotten, and people are almost glad she's gone. She could probably
yeah,
come
for
back
sure.
and do some shit. Like I get who, white kids will eat up her music, so she'll always have a little career because like she really tapped into some little punk
I
rock
don't even know
subculture
about
shit.
that. Who? Krishan Rock?
Yeah, I honestly, if I was like 15 and I came across some of her shit, it's not the worst.
Yeah,
It's
nah,
not.
I'm not talking about that. I heard songs from her that I really like, but like I haven't seen much online like from any group of people, not even
Well,
just
it's
white people, just like any group of people.
well, if she like were to come back in the future with a good marketing plan, with some just focus on the music shit, she could maybe do some shit. But she'll otherwise.
Yeah, maybe.
And then the Usher thing, it's like I was like, oh yeah, that happened, and that didn't really last for much.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like
And
the media was stretching.
Monique's interview just lives in the shadow of Cat Williams' interview.
I couldn't tell
Um,
you a thing that happened in Monique's interview, and I'm pretty
I
sure we
mean, she
talked
did
about
the
it.
same thing she does in every interview that she does, which is complain and cry about people who did not do anything bad to her. It's just her always with her hand out, looking for a handout. She complained about Kevin Hart promising her something and not getting it to her. She complained about people that she complained about before, ever since the. She just always complains about the same shit, man. So tired of hearing fucking Monique talk, man. I really am. I'm so tired of her and Cat Williams. Like, if 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 last year was the year of their popularity because of the crying and the bitching on Shay Shay's couch, I hope that this year is the year of forgetting them and like moving on with life. And like, you either fucking make your shit pop or you don't. Stop blaming other people for you not being the most popular person in your field.
I mean, I
Reggie
think like
Miller, Reggie
no,
Miller,
but even
Reggie
in
Miller,
defense of,
Reggie Miller could sit there and cry about Jordan being more famous than him and say it's not fair. It's because the NBA and Donald Sterling and Adam Silver stopped me from becoming like, bro, nobody stopped you from anything. Nobody on earth is stopping you from anything. You stop yourself. And this interview with Cat Williams is a perfect example of that because this interview broke numbers. So if Cat Williams were to dedicate himself to making an actually good stand-up comedy special, it would go viral. He if he were to stop being the person that gets in his own way in Hollywood, Hollywood would come knocking again. If he were to work with directors, start working with a director on a low budget movie that has promise to be like a potential Oscar nom, he could be winning again. But instead of focusing on what he could do to win and be bigger than Kevin Hart, all he does is focus on how much bigger Kevin Hart is than him. He spends all his time clocking Kevin Hart's pockets instead of focusing on his own career. And because he spends so much time filling his mouth up with Kevin Hart dick in his mouth all the time, is why he will never be more famous than Kevin Hart. And it's why Monique won't ever be shit. It's why everybody who cries. I was so nice last year. I tried to not say any of this shit about any of them, and I'm tired. I just like
I
talking
mean, you
about
said
them in
everything about
2020.
Monique last year.
Talking about them in 2025 is like, yo, I'm sick and tired of them, bro.
But
That
it's
was
also
last
like
year. I
Cat
don't want to hear
Williams.
about them
Cat
again this
Williams
year.
is also doing quite well financially and still selling out and all this other shit. So it's like, I don't get what he complaining about. He's not doing bad. That's the part where guys like him are like, it's like you don't want to play the Hollywood game, fine. Like you don't have to, right? And that's cool. But at the end of the day, that's what I mean. Like Cat Williams sparked off something greater, and he was a catalyst. But honestly, at the end of the day, he just went on to just make more money and do his own thing quietly because I think he was very calculated. Then I guess Monique tried to replicate that, but I don't really know her like that, so I don't follow her career at all. And I couldn't really comment more than that. This did nothing to make me care more. And then yeah, I guess
Let's move on to March. Let's
yeah,
move on to March.
March is
March
the
had
start of
more
Diddy.
important. The start of Diddy. The old head that got made fun of by some young girls for his outfit. The Nickelodeon documentary. I don't know what those police are at the top above Diddy. I'm guessing it's them raiding Diddy's crib.
Oh, I
Um,
think that was the rating of Diddy's crib.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I
man.
feel
I
like
think this might be one of the biggest moments of the year. Is Diddy?
Diddy's definitely one of the big, and Diddy's one of those moments where I think it's gonna be like a Harvey Weinstein level catalyst, where it'll just like it's already like part of the lexicon, right? Like Diddy, like Diddy parties, Diddy everything, like it's just so casually being used by everybody now, and I don't think it's going away. Like I think like a Hawk Tua, which I know is later on, that went away. This Diddy shit is like, cause
Nah,
everybody knew
did
Diddy.
no Diddy is not going anywhere. Diddy do it, Diddy not Diddy the diddler. These things are not going anywhere. What I do still question is the validity of this case, especially when one of the cases that's a part of this case is the case that includes Jay-Z, which was the young girl that went on the news and interviewed and exposed that she is um got uh what do you call it, mental health issues. uh
I'm not
she
sure.
has she has let's see, let's look it up. uh Diddy and Jay-Z accuser mental let's see.
Um,
Dave
this is where
Anonymous.
off cam Chris could be here, off cam Chrising.
uh
Yeah.
um she has some sort of she has some sort of like autistic or something like that.
Right. Anyway, so there's a potential. Chris, if you were listening, you would know what we need off cam Chris for. That's all I'm saying. Because then you would have been seeing the research and the Googling. Anyhow, appreciate you, Chris. Appreciate you.
The point being is she got on the news and she started talking about being 13 years old, a friend of hers driving her from somewhere far to Manhattan to the MTV Awards, and then this friend just left this 13-year-old girl at the MTV Awards and then somehow she gets into the MTV Awards without a ticket. She just gets in because, you know, the MTV Awards let in 13-year-olds with no tickets all the time. And then she was talking with Good Charlotte. And then Good Charlotte, the band, came forward and they were like, we weren't even at the MTV Awards that year. What? What are you talking about? She
Shut up,
said that she
Benji
was at a
Martin.
Diddy party. She was at a Diddy party having a conversation with the lead singer from Good Charlotte about his tattoo. And then the lead singer from Good Charlotte's like, I wasn't even at the MTV Awards that year. And then now there's the judge is like, oh, she's allowed to stay anonymous. Also, none of the interviews that she did that made her look like a crazy woman that's lying can be used in court. She can change the date. So essentially, she got in front of cameras. Her story got checked, fact checked, and it was bullshit. And now she can go to court, still make these accusations, and change the year that she's saying this all happened. So she could say, oh, wait, Good Charlotte came forward, said that they weren't at the MTV Awards in 2000, but they were there in 2002. So I didn't mean 2000. I meant 2002 is what I'm saying. So she can do that now in court.
I mean, Diddy got a lot
Which
of
is,
cases against him. There's a lot
nah, I
more than
hear
that.
you.
Wow.
I hear you.
It's a lot of cases.
A lot of cases that all the cases that I've heard so far sound like bullshit to me. So like, I'm really still like, I'm adamantly like, I expect Diddy to still be able to get off. If this woman with this horrible lie of a story and Little Rod are who the feds are basing their case off of, good luck. Because it all smells like bullshit to me. Like, that all smells like people who are looking to make money and get right. Like Jay-Z, this whole accusation from this young lady, that's the whole point of Jay-Z getting upset and going in the court of public opinion, going after the lawyer that is getting her right, that is taking her case on. The lawyer tried to come at Jay-Z, and what Jay-Z is saying is the same thing that Diddy was saying all these years, which is, this is extortion. You come to me with a story of somebody who wants to make an accusation, and you tell me, hey, I have this case. Give me money, and I'll make this case go away. That is extortion. Because if I don't give you the money, you go to court. Now, if it goes to court, now I'm in the court of public opinion, and now people can either say whatever the fuck they want. They can either say, "Oh, he's fighting it. We don't believe him. We believe the person. He paid it off. We don't believe it. We believe the person." Either way, it's a lose-lose. You know what I mean? It's not a winning situation. But like, that's why Jay-Z is fighting it, because he's like, yo, this dude is a ambulance chaser of a lawyer, and all he does is take on cases like this, and all he does is try to extort money out of famous people that he knows can afford to pay out money so that their name isn't being smeared.
I'm not saying that isn't happening. I'm just saying there's a lot of cases on Diddy and a lot of weird stuff. I know, you know what? I still think that Diddy is possibly getting, in a lot of situations, are being retroactive morals are being applied. Like, people were wild okay with a certain lifestyle in the 90s to a point of celebrating and encouraging it. Like, they were flagrantly rapping about what they were doing. Like, like it's almost like you shouldn't be shocked that the Diddy parties were happening. Did we listen to the music? like that's what they were literally going on about this all the time. Everyone thought it was cool. Like,
Dr. Dre hit a woman on camera and got away with it.
And like I'm not saying it's like okay. I'm just saying it was celebrated for a very long time.
I'm not saying it was okay either. I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that a lot of people got away with.
So it's like everybody celebrated this party extreme culture, and for a long time, rock stars, everybody.
Just a couple years ago, Rick Ross got backlash for putting Molly in a woman's drink, and she ain't even know it on the you don't even know remix.
He also got in a lot of trouble for his apology, because his apology at first was pretty fucking bad. It was on some.
I mean,
like,
the point that I'm really trying to make is that if he rapped about it, that means that Rick Ross clearly was comfortable with putting Molly in women's drinks and walking away. Like, he got caught saying it in a lyric, but he never got caught, or never got taken to court for whomever he might have put that drug in their drink and used that as inspiration for the lyric.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't just randomly come up with lyrics like that. There has to be some degree of inspiration. I'm not going to say he did it personally or allegedly and all that, but like either he did it or he saw it or something happened that made him feel that whole song was kind of weird if you really think about the premise of it. But anyway.
The whole song was crazy.
But either way, that was...
I don't know, man.
So,
I know that it's super not the popular thing. It's super not the popular thing to be on Diddy's side. I don't really care. I've never been the one to. The more that I see people, essentially who I know for a fact, right? A perfect example is Young Miami. Young Miami was defending Diddy up until the Cassie video came out. And when the Cassie video came out is when she was like, whoa, I need to distance myself. And she distanced herself. Everybody has turned their back on Diddy. And I just think it's pretty fucking fucked up, especially seeing as how I haven't seen anything. Out of all this stuff that's being, all these cases, nobody's saying Cassie is a part of this case. Because Cassie can't be a part of this case. I mean, because the statute of limitations is up on Cassie's case.
So, I mean, it's an optics game, clearly. It's when there's smoke, there's fire situation. So everybody had his back until he was clearly lying about something. And now there's going to just be speculation on what else he's lied about. So even if he's completely telling the truth about the rest of every other case, he's innocent. He still lied about beating Cassie and stuff and then got caught red-handed doing exactly that. And even if there were some money grabs, it's like you're still going to be left with this sense of, well, until all the evidence is out, it's kind of hard to take any of this anymore at face value because there's enough evidence to make him look real bad, even if it was a long time ago or whatever. He could have changed, etc. It means that what if in his really bad phase before he changed and became brother love and all this stuff, like he really did do some of this stuff, some of it, like, because there's a lot of it. And a lot of the civil cases are sad to hear if you like listen to them. And I don't know, I've never once said,
I mean, where did you hear them?
Because most of these there's I haven't heard it recently, but there was one of the lawyer people on YouTube did a video where he was going through the civic cases side of it, because there's the feds case, which is one side, and then there's some lawyer group that's kind of collecting stories and individual people's experiences for civic cases. Don't ask me the nuances of why you go one route or the other. It's U.S. fucking judicial shit. But some lawyer out there is trying to, and that's the thing, is there's a lawyer or a team of lawyers who are actively looking for potential victims. So there's a lot of everything you're saying maybe has a grain of truth to it, because there is a bag to be made in coming after him. But at the same time, if like hundreds of people are feeling away after the fact, maybe a couple of them were in fact bad moments. And I'm not saying all of them, but that's why I just want to see what happens. I'm going to wait till the dust settles. I'm not going to really have the most formed opinion beforehand, because I don't think we're going to know. And even
No,
when the
I
dust
don't know.
settles,
I don't know. What I do know is that out of the information that is out here right now, I smell bullshit.
I feel like a lot of young girls were put in a lot of situations they inevitably regretted when they found out later
I
on it wasn't cool or whatever. Or guys, because apparently guys were involved too. So a lot of people were in situations that they grew up in, probably changed their minds about, because not every groupie loved being a groupie. That would be a thing I think happened. But yeah, this whole Diddy case is definitely one of the biggest moments of the year. And I think it's going to go down like on a same level as a Weinstein case. Win or lose, it's going to have that level of notoriety attached to it.
we will
But
see. We will see.
yeah, um, I don't know half of what's happening in April, to be honest with you.
April was Chris Brown versus Quavo,
I
the
forgot.
solar eclipse, a
Right.
4.8 earthquake in New York. Was that? Let's see, 2024 earthquake. Yeah, it was New
Right.
York City.
Right.
Uh,
I guess the earthquake is noteworthy. I don't know who's eating that food.
hold on, let me look that up. April 2024. New Jersey into New York. Yeah, it's a 4.8 earthquake. Um, I got no clue. Zoom in a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Oh, the man versus bear. I remember that. That was
Man versus
incredible.
bear. Man versus
Yeah.
bear. It's crazy because I still see people left over like using the jokes like I just finished seeing a video of a transgender man, a transgender woman in a jujitsu match against a woman, and the woman kicked the trans woman's ass. And in the comments, the most liked comment was, "She would pick the bear." You
I
know what I
think that's
mean?
gonna last actually.
Which is cool. Like this woman who kicked a trans woman's ass, which like indicates to men this is a tough woman. You know, men are laughing at the idea of, or laughing and agreeing with the idea of like she should pick the bear because she'll kick the bear's ass. Maybe they also are hoping that the bear kills her. I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
not
think the
sure.
people laughing at it get it. I think it's cause to me this whole man versus bear thing is such an interesting metaphor because the men I still don't think they get it. I don't think they get how dangerous women
Nah,
perceive men to be in
right.
general,
Agreed.
especially pulling up. So it's like, like as time's gone on, I think it's proven to be an apt like image to represent like for women to bond together on. And then honestly, it's like a gauge to see how down men are. Like how like there's ways to test if white people are down for the cause and shit
Mm-hmm.
like that. This like
Mm-hmm.
man versus bear thing is
For
probably
sure.
like a high key a feminist test that's gonna like stick around. Like how you react to that joke is gonna tell everybody that they need to know about you right quick. But so I think that'll last.
Agreed, but then also I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, especially when you said feminism, I'm like, which feminism? Like, which one are you
White
talking about?
feminism, because I
Right,
think this
white
was all about
feminism.
white feminism.
This was white feminism. Like, I don't think that this had an impact on black women at all. Black women, I haven't seen them using the bear metaphor at all. But it's because black women feel unsafe around white women. So it's like black women will
Right,
probably pick the bear over white women.
that's a fact too,
Black
which
women,
does
if you
make it
ask black
useful as a
women,
metaphor.
now if you now we're talking the metaphor fully, black women would probably view white women as men and be like, oh, I'd rather participate in fighting a bear than trying to coexist with white women's feminism. because white
what's
women and feminism has historically destroyed and deteriorated black women and stabbed them in the back. So it's like,
facts?
why would they're not in agreement with white feminism ever. They usually, when white women are in an uproar about feminism, black women are usually sitting quiet. A good example, you know what, of this, I don't know if it'll be in
Yo, what's up,
December.
Miss B in the YouTube? Just saying hi because
Miss,
I just saw your comment.
what up, Miss B? A good example of this, right, would be right now, December. The news just broke of the man that Blake Lively, the wife of Ryan Reynolds, who was in a movie with this actor, co-starred in a movie with this actor, right? She's accusing him of making her uncomfortable, blah blah blah. Uh, and the actor released text messages between her and him. And when the text messages came out, black women in numbers all over TikTok got on camera and were like, I was never on Blake Lively's side. Because to them, like white women, black women just historically have bad relationships with white women that white women don't like to acknowledge. It's why, it's why, it's why. And by the way, I think that the Hillary and Kamala elections will further the divide because, right, you have a lot of white women who felt like, where were you guys for Hillary? And then there's a lot of black women who feel like were white women. I
No,
mean, they're
white
mostly
women
pointing the
did vote
finger at
for Kamala because it was white men that really didn't
nah,
vote.
nah, nah. The biggest numbers that didn't vote for Kamala were white people, period. White men and
Right.
women were the biggest did not vote. So the majority of white men and the majority of white women both voted for Trump.
Or didn't vote because
No,
there's
majority, period. So like, because the
no
majority is going to
there's
be more than 50%, right? Because 50% would be the line in the middle. If 20% of white people didn't participate in the election and 80% was still left out there and it was 40-40, then it'd be right down the middle. But that's not the case. It was like 60%, 70% white women voted for Trump, and 30% of white women voted for Kamala. So it's just that what it is that is happening is that black women aren't holding white women's feet to the fire, but the reason is because they never expected white women to be their allies. They are used to white women betraying them. So
yeah. So according
they're not
to
looking, they're not
Statista, it's white women were 52% Trump, 47 Harris. Hispanic women were 37 Trump, 61 Harris, and black women were 92% Harris and 7% Trump.
right. And
Yeah.
so I was correct. And so the point that I'm making is that, black women aren't holding, they're holding Latino men, Latinos, and Middle Eastern people accountable for the loss of the last election. But white women are up there as well. It's just that they're not holding their feet to the fire because they're used to being betrayed by white women. White women
Right.
have historically betrayed black women, so black women aren't offended by it. They're used to it.
Right.
And so, with that being said, again, this is in the man versus bear thing. I just think that, this is a white woman feminism thing
That's
that
valid.
will last. That will last, though.
It
I'm
will
not saying it
last, though.
won't last. I'm not saying it won't
I wouldn't
last,
even say
but
it's
I am
like a
saying that
biggest moment of the year. I think it's just like it's gonna sneak through. It's just this
yeah, no,
sneak through thing.
it's one of those things that it'll be culture, it'll be a human culture reference
Like
thing, like
I could
Opa
see,
Gangnam Style. The people that were
right.
there for it and cared will mention it. It will be like, what's that?
Yo, I like it when people still go as it makes me happy inside, and it
Oh
still
man, I hate
happens.
that shit.
I
I
know,
hate,
but
you know what I hate more than anything? I hate when people do what's up, and what I hold in what's up reverence is also when people do Dave Chappelle shit, which is like
right.
hugely popular. people love to still do Dave Chappelle show skit stuff
Rick
in
James, bitch.
right, Rick James bitch, or fucking yeah. And it's just like, bro, chill out, man. Chill out. Like, tell me you haven't watched TV in 20 years without telling me you
You
haven't
know what
watched
the
TV
thing
in
is
20
though?
years.
It's that
Like,
every
it's
now
just
and again, like TikTok started
it's like
reminding me
busting out a
of
MJ. It's like busting out a MJ red leather jacket or a glove, where it's just like, but like seriously, and not in comedy, and not for
mm,
Halloween. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, yo, are you kidding? Like, do you really still think that this is in right now? Like, you
but
gotta be more
like
recent than this.
I wouldn't like think about the was thing, but then every now and again I'll be sitting there on Facebook and the commercial will pop up, and you get reminded of that Budweiser classic, and then every now and again some random person in public will just make a comment, and I just like, yeah, I get you, I see you. You're probably on your dad jokes. You're doing your thing, because like there's not that like, especially if you have kids, you got to clean up your whole. That's a safe joke. You get to stick your tongue out and everything. But like,
But I
I don't
don't.
know.
That's the thing.
I have
That's
a
I
lot of
guess
fun
the
with
thing
it.
that I never enjoyed about it was that it's one of those things that people consider a joke because people laugh at it, but it's not a joke. A joke
No.
has writing involved and a punchline that makes you laugh. This is just doing a stupid thing and thinking that I'm supposed to laugh, which is why I don't ever laugh. It's like, what? Like,
Yeah, it's valid.
that'd be like me picking my nose like, oh, it's just like, that's not
Well,
funny,
but
my guy.
like,
You just
but the
stuck your
Wazak, it's
finger
like
up
this
your nose.
context.
It's not
But it's like the
funny.
same
Like,
thing with the. But like you're kind of like doing a reference to this pop culture moment, right? So it would be like doing a little Uzi Vert dance or something, and then having a bunch of people do the dance with you, or like a Harlem Shake or something. Like to me, it's like that. It's just one of them viral meme connecting things. It's still super corny, but I get it.
super. Yeah, I'm. That's the thing for me. It's just super corny. It's just, which is like when something becomes super corny. But again, I come from hip hop culture. I come from New York City, and we are about blazing trails and pioneering and being at the forefront of things. Nobody in New York wants to be that guy that's still doing an old thing past the expiration date of the old thing. We kind of leave that
Right.
for the rest of the world.
Which is the world.
The world, exactly. So the
Yeah.
world thinks it's cool. It's an overall cool thing to the world,
That,
regardless what New York says.
right.
I don't
And
know
then
those other two. I don't
I
know
don't know who
what
the
that
sandwich
dude and
thing
that chick
is.
is.
Forgot
I
that.
that
Is that
that
Chance the
looks like
Rapper
fucking.
divorced?
Oh yeah, Chance the Rapper being divorced. I think. Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah,
I think
boring.
that might be
Super.
Quavo
Like Keith.
or
I don't know.
Offset.
I don't. I don't know who's eating that sandwich. It
I
didn't
don't know.
last. It didn't last.
Did it last? Hey Chris, find out who in April was eating like what is that viral moment from April, Chris? Find out
Yeah,
what that is.
Chris. Come on, off cam, Chris. You wanted to be
All
off
right,
cam, Chris.
you got to be off cam, Chris, bro. You got to be on
Yeah.
point. All
This
right. So
is
next
Kendrick
we got
versus
Kendrick versus
Drake.
Drake, one of the biggest things of the year.
Nah, that's big.
Still happening.
Still going on. I mean, shit, he
Underneath
just dropped.
underneath that is the school teacher that got fired for letting his students do his hair, and then I believe he got his job back. Um,
Is it the cheese ball dude in New York? No, Chris.
no, bro, does that look like a cheese ball?
Chris, this guy. This guy over here. Eating a
No,
sandwich.
it's a black man. Also, that was a fucking white
Random
passing
white guy.
Latino that did, or a white guy that did the fucking cheese ball thing. Come on, Chris.
But why is Quavo? Oh, the glizzy thing from Quavo.
Oh, copy. All right.
Okay, hey.
Um,
Yeah.
and what's
Yeah,
this
that
Vanity
teacher.
Fair thing? What is that? Meg the Stallion?
Cardi or Meg's ass or something. I don't know. Chris, look that up.
Definitely,
But
though, biggest moment of May is Kendrick and Drake,
absolutely.
unquestionably.
I mean,
One of
like
the
it
biggest
just
moments of the biggest moment of the month, and definitely one of the biggest moments of the year.
facts. Although I don't know if the biggest of the moment of the year is gonna. I think Not Like Us is the biggest moment of that whole thing, or at least it transcended into the following months, right? Like I don't think the whole thing stuck in May, but it launched in May. Because I think
It
like
launched
Not
in
Like,
May.
and then there was like
Um,
nothing for like almost 2 months or something, and then like, or it was a bit of time passed before it really escalated, and then it was like fucking 8 songs in like a week, and then it just
yeah, yeah. Agree, agree. Um,
which, but definitely big
all right, I'm looking at the clock. It's fucking 8 o'clock. We're an hour in, and we're not even halfway through this shit. We gotta fucking move with this a little bit better.
facts.
Um, I mean, look, we already talked about it. We'll talk about it in. We talked about it in the whole year. Drake versus Kendrick, so
Yeah,
much. I think that is part of what had me tired of doing this weekly fucking what's happening, because it's like I started realizing that things really don't change much. I
same
started seeing
topic.
patterns in the years, because we've done this for like close to 2 years now. Um, Definitely 2 New Year's Eves that we've done already. You know what I mean?
Right, but
So yeah. Uh,
I mean like Trump versus Biden doesn't feel that relevant no more as a big issue. It happened, but then
it's so
Biden
funny.
retiring, it
It's
just
so
isn't.
funny. This is what I always tell people, that like people don't get, like in the moment, people are so passionate about like and listen, I'm not accused. I've been um I've been a victim of getting caught up in the politics. The year that Trump ran for the first time 12 years ago, I got wild caught up. I got wild caught up. I unfriended like 2 people, but they were already like on their way of being unfriended, right?
Mm.
Like I unfriended Paranormal Ezak and Eric Foreman. This is the first time I've mentioned these 2 people's names. They battled at the Draft League, which is my old battle league. They were Eric Foreman was the most viewed battle on that league. The battle was like I forgot how many views. The point is, we all were semi cool. We were cool, and they would say little suspect things, and as long as you're not being racist and you're, being funny, cool. But and then it felt like when they started rooting for Trump before he ran, the first time 13 years ago, technically speaking, um, there was just a side of them that came out that I was just like, oh wow. And then they formed the Young Republicans or the New Republicans or something like that in battle rap. It was like a battle rap group, super short lived. Like their moment in the sun was that election cycle year. You know what I mean? And then that was it. I'm pretty sure that if you talk to both of them, they fell back from being passionate Trumpers. Um, I'm still not cool with them. I'll never be cool with them again. But the point is, you also don't need to, you know what I mean? Like, get crazy about these elections every fucking year. It passes, and then guess what? Once 12 years pass, I was just watching something about like Dan Quayle in the 90s. This is like somebody who like I was around for him being alive. He was a vice president for somebody. Vice presidents are never remembered. Vice presidents are never remembered. And the person who ran against you is never remembered. Nobody gives a fuck. 10 years from now, people are barely gonna remember
Nah,
that
like,
Biden lost that
yo,
election.
honestly, y'all be saying it well, like that. Well, maybe Biden because he was a president, so you do remember when the president incumbents lose. That's kind of significant, but like, no,
You
I
will
mean
and you
it's
won't,
more,
because he
but
didn't lose.
it's
Kamala
like, do you
lost.
really remember? That's fair, but do you really remember? Yeah, Kamala won't be remembered. See that's more what I'm going with it, cause like
That's absolutely exactly what I was saying, right? The
yeah,
vice
cause like
president is never
like
remembered,
I
and the
think Mitt
person who
Romney was
loses is
one.
never remembered.
Al Gore
20
was one, I
years from
think.
now, 20 years from now, when we're old as fuck and little kids, are are doing the new hype thing, and there's a remember the 2020 20 years ago, it's 2042. Let's celebrate 2042 by thinking about how crazy 2022 was. And you go back and people are fucking ain't nobody gonna care. People barely gonna fucking remember Kamala Harris. They're gonna remember Biden because he was a president. Absolutely. They'll remember Biden in that sense. He was president for one cycle.
Facts.
But
It's
they
like
are
you
not.
don't really
But
remember the one cycle
they're not gonna
presidents
remember.
much either. Like people
Yeah,
don't. The only reason Daddy Bush gets remembered is because he was a war president, and so there's a war attached to him. Otherwise,
yeah.
I don't know. Fuck all about guy.
I mean, yeah, no, I don't know. I think I talk shit like that all the time, but then I look at like I talk about. I'm a big picture person, so I look back at like, oh, well, what the fuck do we know about the 1800s? And I don't know shit about the 1800s, but I know all them presidents. You know what I mean? I know all them fucking
I don't
presidents
know
because
fucking the
president.
Canadian versions. I'm like, I don't know.
You don't know the Canadian versions in America. They do a very good job of like, and also though the American presidents are popular presidents. Who doesn't know fucking Franklin Delano Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt or fucking
So like, I
Adams
know
or
I
all the
recognize like a lot
presidents that
of
are
the
on the George
names.
Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all these presidents. Abraham Lincoln is definitely 1800s. I don't know shit about the
Lincoln.
1800s,
I know
but
a
I know
lot about
Lincoln's
Lincoln.
name. Like if you
Lincoln's
were to ask
interesting
me,
though.
if you were to ask me top five human beings from the 1800s, I'm probably gonna have to throw Lincoln in there just because I don't
Oh,
even
I'm
remember
curious.
who's famous from the 1800s. Like you know what I mean?
Mozart.
Famous. I don't know fucking shit about
I mean, he made music. Oh, yeah, so I just for shits and giggles, I googled it. Top 5 human beings in the 1800s, and this is from Norwich University. And Abraham Lincoln is the second name on the list. Then
Yeah,
there's
bro.
Dr.
Like a lot
Mary
of this
Edward
shit is
Locker. I don't know
shit
who the
that
fuck that is.
yeah, I would maybe
Thomas
have put Nat
Edison.
Turner.
Bet. I'll put Thomas Edison on the list. That guy did a whole lot of shit, and he was born in 1847. And then
Word. I mean, Thomas Edison is like the what's his name? Elon Musk. He's like
yeah,
test test right? Like that's why Tesla named I mean Elon named Tesla because he's an idea stealer, not an idea originator.
hmm. Oh, apparently Alexander Graham Bell was mostly an 1800s guy, but he was
Yeah,
also did it.
I would probably put
Ooh, Karl Marx definitely deserves to be on the list. That motherfucker created Marxism or
wait,
inspired
who'd you
Marx.
say? Who'd you say
Alexander
originally?
Bell, Graham Bell first, the telephone guy, and he Canadian.
Nah,
But
before that.
uh,
The electricity guy.
Edison.
Edison. Yeah, I would put Tesla before Edison, but like whatever. The point is, right? Like we come up with those names after searching it, bro. You know what I mean? Like when I think of
Yeah,
1800s, I definitely think
we did
about
have to search
Abraham.
it.
I definitely think about Abraham Lincoln's top hat ass hat. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the people I automatically think about. The point being, again, presidents are very famous. American presidents in particular, because America is the United States of America is the Roman Empire of this generation, of this century, of this
Mad
lifetime.
valid.
And until America falls as a government, our presidents will remain more relevant than any other president
Well,
of any other country for the most part. For the most part. Like now
so I was
we can
like,
name presidents because there's Gorbachev that I would name being more famous than certain American presidents, right? Like there's fucking American presidents that I'm like, who? But I know Gorbachev's name, and I think Gorbachev is even more famous than dude right now. I always forget
nah,
dude right
not in
now.
the fucking list. Not in the least, bro. Putin has
Bro, you're
you.
again, you're
Nah,
talking
I
from
would.
you're living through it. You clearly breathe, hold it, breathe.
Like, how do you
Breathe
not
for a
know
second.
Putin's name?
Breathe for a second. Breathe for a second. You are thinking of things completely in the moment. Try to remove yourself. try to remove yourself, okay? Try to think outside of your lifetime, right? You're thinking of everything in your lifetime as relevant.
I
I'm not
mean,
thinking of everything in my lifetime.
Gorbachev
You want to
has
know
like
why I'm naming Gorbachev? I'm naming Gorbachev because I just finished watching the CNN documentary on the 80s, and he's all over it because of the fucking war in Germany,
right,
right?
but like
So without that fall of that wall, without the fall of him, he's the fall of the USSR empire. So it goes from USSR to Russia under him. Why wouldn't he be one of the most famous people? You know what I
I'm not
mean? Like,
saying
think about what we
he
talk about. Like
isn't, but he's immediately followed
Putin's
by
just
Putin. Like
immediately
immediately
followed by
followed.
Putin, right? And we don't have another 20 years of no Putin to know how famous the world will be without Putin. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like
that guy started some war.
I he started some war that what? Like he didn't start a war with America. He didn't start World War II. He didn't start Vietnam War. He didn't start the
I
World War One.
mean,
He didn't
you
even start.
could
He
okay,
didn't even
all right.
start the Cold War. Right? These are all moments that go down in history. There's no war with America that Putin's attached to that will go down
I
in the history
mean,
books.
there's a debate that right now, and it could be not true, but there's a debate that currently we're seeing the start of World War III because we're up to 3 active big military conflicts where major powers are playing proxy games. So maybe it's not directly, but there is indirect bullshit between Putin and Biden and Ukraine as like a middle ground. Same
Absolutely.
shit's happening in
Absolutely.
Israel. Same thing's happening with China, Tibet, and a few other places where it's kind of popping off. But the real catalyst moment was, to me, Putin smashing through with Ukraine. It was like a catalyst moment. So I could be wrong, but I think that
I
was a
mean, I
big
guess
thing.
it'll depend. It'll depend, right? Like right now, if you ask me growing up, Czechoslovakia was a huge country because I grew up around so many Czechs in New York City in the Bronx. And right now, you ask anybody in the world that is 15 years old to tell you about Czechoslovakia, and they're like, who? What?
Facts.
What are you talking about? So if in the big picture, fucking Ukraine suddenly goes the fuck away and people just fucking forget about it, how
And it
big will
could
this
happen.
moment be? How big will this moment be? How big will it be? If Putin ends up like just stepping down, dying in office, like Kim Jong Un or Il, right? Um, Kim Jong Il is these one of those things where like, and even that, right? Like, look, we don't even have to play these games. At the end of the day, all I was saying was that Gorbachev is more famous than a bunch of American presidents, and
That's
Gorbachev is a
facts.
world leader that will absolutely be remembered by time. Putin will also maybe be a fucking leader that is remembered by time.
But I
We
would
don't
say
know until
but
time.
the Russian
We the
USSR
only thing
guys,
that I
a lot
will
of them
say
are.
about that, the only thing that I will say about that is that we don't know until time has passed. And Putin is a right now. So that's the only reason I'm not fucking waving some huge Putin flag because it's a right now. We have 20 years, 30 years perspective from the 80s to go, or the 40 years to go off of how remembered Gorbachev will be. CNN has a whole ass documentary about the 80s. He will absolutely be remembered, right? Um,
I think
we
like
will see.
but as you're like saying that, I think a lot of the Russian leaders are as famous as the American leaders because they've been like the villains against each other for like 100 years.
I
Like
don't know the guy from the
Stalin
fucking World War
or
II. Who was the
Stalin.
guy from World War II? Oh, that was
Stalin.
Stalin. Okay, word. So that is valid. Who was it after Stalin?
I'm not sure all of them, but there's a couple of them. I don't know if Lenin was a leader, but he was like a cultural figure that was huge. Like I'm not up to date with them all talking shit. They're gonna come into my head later on, but
Yeah,
there's at
no,
least a
I'm cool.
couple
I'm cool with
more,
all those names being all
more
famous,
Russian
famous,
slash USSR guys because I feel like they're as like they're part of the
super,
U.S. lexicon. Like they're part of the
super,
story.
super remembered leaders, right? Because we fucking went into a rabbit hole at this point of
Yeah,
like
we did.
mincing hairs over
Yeah, Lenin,
what, right?
Stalin, and
Lenin, Stalin, all
those
remembered.
guys. And then
Gorbachev remembered.
Malenkov, maybe not.
Fuck it. Putin remembered? Definitely not Malenkov. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Nah.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Hitler will be remembered. I don't know any other
Facts.
German fucking leaders.
Churchill will be remembered.
Churchill will be remembered. The
Um,
Queen of England will be remembered. I don't know of any of those prime ministers. I can't tell you none of the prime ministers from England at all.
Oh, there's Margaret somebody that did the fucking right Iron Fist shit. I don't know her name. I know I'm forgetting it, but
All right. I
yeah.
think that the point that we're trying to make is that Biden can't be forgotten. That
Nah,
was where we
Biden
were
won't be
trying to go with it.
forgotten. Absolutely, but I
That was
don't think
what you
Biden's
said
gonna be
last.
like.
I'm trying to remind you
Biden's
of what you
definitely
said
not.
last.
Yeah, not gonna be forgotten, but also not that popular of a president.
One-term president that didn't have a war, according to you, he wouldn't fall under the category of a remembered president. That's why.
Nah,
That's why
super.
Bush daddy is remembered. But then
Yeah.
again, I guess it depends, right? Like people might, we say he didn't go to war. The people of Russia that died at the hands of the families of Russians that died at the hands of Ukrainians supplied weapons by the American government might look at Biden as a super scumbag for eternity.
Super facts.
Also, same thing with all the people in the Middle East who died at the hands of Biden supplying weapons to Israel. They might view Biden as a scumbag forever and have pictures of Biden in their homes as target practice. You know what I mean? So who the fuck knows? We'll see if 20 years from now there's a fucking bank robbery movie and one of the guys has on a fake fucking Biden mask. That's when you'll know. We'll see. Moving on. Talk to a girl.
He's gone.
The Celtics won the championship, I guess. I don't know. I forgot, bro. I really forgot who won the NBA championship this year. Who's that girl next to Haktua girl? Is that the girl? Is that another girl from the same video? And they just couldn't crop her head out when they were doing this thing. I don't know.
So.
I tell you this, I was just it is crazy that it's June, and I was just watching a video about You Not Qualified Sweetheart. You Not Qualified Sweetheart might be one of the most famous people from Red Balloon Pop. Again, this is one of those things where like I think that there's a difference in this whole calendar is put together by internet culture. But a majority of internet culture is ran by black culture.
But also, like I was gonna say, this is not like my algorithm doesn't show all of these things. I see other
absolutely
shit.
Doesn't. You saw Haktua, you are not aware of You Not Qualified Sweetheart because that's a black culture thing. That's Red Balloon dating. Red Balloon dating is huge in our culture.
So not interesting. I mean, I'll watch it here.
This whole year has been super huge. Like there's wild moments. I love it. I think me and my wife have started watching Red Balloon Pop the way we watch Love and Hip Hop. We watch it together on Monday nights with her Ratchet TV nights. I watch Red Balloon Pop the way that I watch Big Brother. To me, it is a great way to gauge a group of people and evaluate statistics of society. Like you represent numbers in society. These people represent numbers. It don't matter if I don't know people like this. All that matters is that people like this exist. And I need to get more familiar with the fact that people like this exist, or else I'm in the dark about what the fuck society actually looks like and trying to pretend like my little small world is the world, which is what most people do. And that's not the world.
Yeah, I just don't like the reality TV format that much. But I get why you watch it.
A majority of all this also is like all this calendar is
Well, I just meant the red
Western.
balloon dating
No, I'm
thing.
talking about this whole calendar thing. All of it, because of what I just said. All of this is American culture and
That's facts.
Western civilization culture, right? I'm pretty sure that
I'm
if you
sure,
showed
I think
this,
American culture is a better way to put it, because even like to that, and there's nothing that's Canadian culture in this. I
nah,
mean, maybe Drake, maybe
there's
Drake,
little
but
things, you know what I mean? But also you got to think about what Canadian culture is contributing to the overall Western culture, right? Like that's what I was gonna say was like we got to take into account that when you look at this calendar in Korea and in China, 95% of this is irrelevant. But there's still 5% of this that does make it to their fucking shit. And I'm willing to bet Kendrick and Drake is one of the things that makes it to them.
yes,
I'm willing to bet that Trump and
Heart.
Biden is one of the things that make
Yep,
it to them.
Heart
And
Tua
I think
probably made it.
I don't
I don't
even
think she
know. I
stuck
don't think so.
around. I think she made
I
it.
don't
I
think
think the
so.
meme
Nah,
went around.
nah.
Cause
I think that's a Western culture thing. That's American TikTok shit. That's English speaking TikTok shit. I doubt that in fucking, you know what I mean? There's a difference. There's just a difference, and they're not what people find funny in Africa is not what you find funny in Canada.
like this hair guy did not really make rounds in my timeline. It was mostly like your
Black
timeline.
culture, yeah,
But no, but even there's a lot of black people on my timeline, so it's not fully
yes,
that. But Canadian black culture and then American black culture are not fully the same.
totally different things. Totally different things.
So like
I
to
mean,
me,
we
it's why
kind
I'm
of make
saying
fun.
like
American black. Look, I was just talking about battles this weekend because I watched a bunch of battles, right? And and I forgot what it was that somebody said. Somebody said something about questioning somebody's blackness, and oh, Marv One. Matter of fact, it wasn't even. It was Marv One making the comments about Denzel, right? About Denzel not being a top five black actor, and somebody
okay,
said that Marv One is not black, and they said that he is 100 Bullets' daddy, or that 100 Bullets is his daddy. 100 Bullets is one of the only black battle rappers from Canada. It's just another way of like, it's just literally another way of black culture in America being like, uh, black people in Canada are different than us. You guys are whitish. You're white adjacent. You know what I mean? It's like when I went up to
oh, that's
Buffalo. It's like when I went up to Buffalo and we're around the Buffalo Bills fans. I look at the guys in the van and I'm like, guys, the black people up here are not on our team. Let's not get into a fight. You know what I mean? These are fans of Buffalo. These are white fans. Like these people grew up with these white people. They don't give a fuck about us. They're not gonna be like, hey, chill, 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 chill. They're not gonna do that. Nah, they're gonna jump in with the white people. And that's how we feel about black Canadians. Y'all gonna jump in
you
with the
know
white
what?
people
I
against
don't
black
know if
people.
that's. I don't think that's true though.
I think that changed and is not true. It's definitely not true.
I
But
was
that is
like,
what I'm telling you. The majority of the mentality is. I tell you, look, the
I'm
100 Bullets
not doubting the
thing is
mentality.
absolute. The 100 Bullets
Facts.
thing, that's an
I was just
absolute
saying. I
fact. I'm
just
telling you a
have.
fact of the culture of like black battle rap culture. That's why 100 Bullets, right, was never invited to URL. He wanted to be invited to URL, but he was never invited to URL because all the people that run URL, all the black people that run URL, look at 100 Bullets like he's white.
Oh, man,
It's
that's rough.
fucked up. I'm just telling you what the facts of the facts alive. The facts alive. That's all I'm telling you.
That's
I'm
some
not telling you
fucking
that I
wild
feel
shit.
this. I'm not saying that I feel the same way. I'm telling you that this is the temperature
No,
of what shit is
but
like
then,
out
and
here.
then that's how can you get the almost overcompensation of like people bragging about jumping Americans every single time an American gets jumped in Canada.
Yes, absolutely. That is where Jersey. That's where everybody. Look, everybody everywhere got their shit, and we in New York. That's why I feel like everybody got their tough guy shit from us, because everybody would be on some fucking New York is this, New York is that. We Jersey wants to be tough too, but they're in the shadow. They forever live in the shadow of the Empire State Building in New York City. You're never gonna be New York City, but you're gonna wanna rob and shoot and kill more than us. You will do it more than us just to prove that you are tough too. But we will never see you as tough as us. New York is never gonna look at anybody from anywhere as tough as New York. We're always gonna be like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. We were fucking.
What about some like apartheid South Africa shit? Does that like have some contender status?
It's different. It's different. It's third world country shit, So it's not the same thing. Like it's not.
I just meant that curiously, because like
it's also one of those things where like this is nothing to brag about. I'm not saying this in a I'm proud of it way at all.
Right.
I'm just telling you again the facts of how people in New York City view, and then how that spread to other places. You got other places that then want to be, we're tough too. We also sell drugs. We also kill people. It's gangster here too, which is like, what are you doing, bro? Like, this is what you want for yourself? You want to also be bad to be good? That don't make sense.
I mean, you say it like that from a place of logic and a place of businessman mindset and all this other shit, but arguably the culture. You know how much people make fun of me for how soft I am in this rap game, for being in like how not like it's a detriment to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
I know, because wait, why'd you put the thing down? We're not doing it anymore.
Well, I just figured if we were talking and it wasn't about the thing, maybe it was probably smarter to bring our faces back until we were ready to move on with the thing. Because it was like a while. But yeah, I could bring the thing back. True. But I mean,
if you don't keep the thing there, we're not gonna fucking remember to go back.
I'm just saying,
we might just end up ending at May.
but the thing about is like, unfortunately, the media push is on some tough guy shit, and like if your music's not gritty and hard and cold sounding, a large demographic of what
I don't think so. I don't think that's true. Look at Drake. But Drake
isn't necessarily. I was gonna say the purist crowd. It's like with the purist crowd.
Even with the purist crowd, there's purists that acknowledge Drake. There are some, like, you can't let one group of. I mean, overall majority, yeah, I would probably think 53% of purists think that Drake is a cornball and can't write his own stuff. But there's still 40% of purists that are like, nah, I acknowledge that Drake is a talented writer and fucking talented rapper and wildly talented guy. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Nah, but the point is, to get back to it, this is really just, again, Black American culture. Red Balloon Pop is super relevant to us. And I don't know, again, the same way that you feel, if I were to tell you, oh, Koreans might know about Red Balloon Pop, you'd be like, no way. That's the way I'm looking at you about Hawk Tour. Like, no fucking way. You're just thinking about this as a white thing. You're just thinking about it as a white thing. Like,
I'm thinking about it from. There's a whole lot of South Koreans
up
in here.
How much are you thinking about it from Korean? You're thinking about it as Koreans in the Western Hemisphere. Again, that's not who I reference. I reference Koreans in Korea.
Right. So what I'm saying is there's got to be a tiny ass pipeline of content flow that goes from like the Western world.
How much Korean content do you get in your thing, in your pipeline? Of like their things that go viral.
I don't have a lot because I don't seek it out. But
again, right. So what I think you're having a hard time conceptualizing is, Holden, your world is not the world. And what you know is a small. I constantly am acknowledging this is what I'm constantly. That's why I say things the way I say things, right? Which is like not all, never all.
I never thought it was a big percentage, but I was considering this version where there's got to be some level of interest
in Korea.
Right. And then
5% of
even
Koreans
this
in Korea.
Hawk girl, it was so
But
ridiculous that it got made fun of by like that tiny percentage of like Koreans in America who make South Korean content for South Koreans and shit. And so like there's got to be a market for that is what I was picturing in that. So I don't think it's the
what's your
hugest thing,
picture?
but
I
I
hear
figure
you.
like that's got to then go to South Korea in Korean, all translated and shit. And then there's a bunch of teenagers there that are just fucking trying to stay apprised of what's popping in Gossip Land. It didn't go bigger than that, but I do think that there's a pipeline.
Right. I'm not saying that there isn't. It's the internet. We all get each other's internet, right? We all see
Right.
viral videos of food carts in India and manufacturing in China and Taiwan. And we see virality from all over trucks crashing in Russia. We see
Yeah.
virality from all over. It's fucking internet. It's one place. We can all get to each other's internet on the internet. What I am saying is that a vast majority of Koreans don't give a fuck. They don't.
That's
They don't
valid.
care. They don't care about Haktua. They don't know about Haktua. They're watching Korean internet, watching Korean shows, listening to K-pop music. Their shit is super popping right now. We also live in an era where people retreated back into their circle. Everybody wants to do what New York did. Everybody wants to have that hip hop of their area. Everybody wants to. That's why all these small markets started blowing up. Detroit got its own music scene finally, and Milwaukee has its own burrowing scene, and now Toronto finally has a scene, and all these little places have seen that they're trying to cultivate and create, and everywhere else is similar too. Africa used to listen to nothing but American music, and now Africans mostly listen to nothing but African artists and African, Afrobeat music, because there's been a push by Africans to support their own people. And with that comes a whole new generation of people who are like, bro, I do not give a fuck about America. I do not give a fuck about American culture shit. I care about my African culture. I'm an African. I live in Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian. More importantly, I'm a Nigerian. I care about Nigerian shit. I care about Africa as a continent. I don't give a fuck about anything else anywhere else. It's us on the Western hemisphere that think that we're the center of the universe and that the whole world cares about our shit. Don't nobody care about Hawk bro. Like, was there maybe 2% of Koreans that caught Hawk in their feed? Yes, absolutely. Those are also the 2% of Koreans that live in Korea and are super obsessed with American culture. So of course
Yeah.
they're gonna know what Hawk is. But you talk to the average Korean that is on some like K-pop is my shit. All I do is watch Korean directors and Korean movies, and all I care about. They don't know what the fuck Hawk is. They don't know. They look at Hawk the way that they look at You Not Qualified Sweetheart, which is, what the fuck is this American shit, bro? And then the rest of us are like, what? How did you not know about Hawk? It's like, bro, Super did not travel. You know what I mean? It does not travel. A lot of this shit doesn't travel. And again, a lot of this shit, when we get CNN making a documentary about the decade of the 2020s, we'll see how relevant all this shit is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because right now we're breaking down 12 months into a year, and we're caring mostly. What we're looking for to do is to find the top 3 moments to you and to me of 2022, so to 2024. So when CNN puts together a compilation of the decade of the 2020s, they're not doing the top 3 things of 2024. They might not even touch on 2024. It's an overall the decade. It's the thing about the whole decade that mattered the most. I mean, they're probably going to touch on 2024 because of Drake and Kendrick and fucking Biden and fucking Trump.
Are those moments of the decade though? Like they're going against COVID.
I think so.
COVID's a moment of the decade.
Yeah, not COVID is a moment of the decade. Again, but now that's when you start compiling. Now you're doing what we are doing at the end of this episode, which is compiling
Right.
the top moments of the decade. And when you do a
Which
top
then there's
moments of the
also
decade, you're definitely not
5,
doing
6 years.
three. You're not doing three
Nah.
moments. You're doing fucking 10 to 20 moments of a decade.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And there's still half a decade to go. But
and then you might get 2 moments out of 1 year and no moments out of another year. 3 moments out of 1 year. You know what I mean? Like it depends on what ends up happening. So let's keep on going. Let's keep it moving. So then you got fucking all the Olympic moments. The fucking the turkey shooter, the shooter from Turkey, which is the turkey shooter is crazy. Like that's a double entendre like a motherfucker. It's a triple actually. The ray gun, which is like crazy. I know Ray Gun's name, and I don't know anybody else's name, right? Like Ray Gun's moment of virality might be bigger than all those moments because this is again Olympics. This is why I think this year we'll fuck around and have 3 moments when you look at the decade as a whole, and then maybe 2023 won't have any moments, right? Because in 2023 wasn't no Olympics, wasn't no election. It wasn't an election year, wasn't the Olympics year. Nobody give a fuck. Nobody care about that year. What the fuck happened that year? There was no Drake and Kendrick that year. So what the fuck did 2023 even have? What did it provide us as a moment for the decade that we'll look back on as like this
I
was
do
a
not
huge,
think that the ray gun is going to be a moment of the decade, but I will say it was a lot of Halloween costumes. Was those two? That was like a couple costume darling. I saw multiple people on my timeline dress up as these two. I don't know if either of them had any idea that that's what their legacy would be, because they're going to become Halloween costumes for a long time. I don't think it's over. I think for years to come, there are going to be people that pull up at Halloween costumes dressed up as couples, as these two individuals, and then people will just remember the joke, and they're going to be like fixtures of that. And I don't know. That's pretty. That doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't. You don't get like a Halloween costume out of a year that often.
I mean, I wasn't saying Ray Gun. I wasn't saying Ray Gun herself, right?
No.
I'm saying that the 2024 Olympics will go down as a most important moment of the decade.
But why?
Like probably
Honestly,
more,
I'm
probably
trying to, like,
probably
think
more,
about it
probably
outside
more
of...
important than 2028 because it had more viral moments. There was nothing in the last. 2020 was the last. Oh, they didn't have an Olympics in 2020 because of COVID. So it's like there was a missed Olympics. Then we get this Olympics, and it's huge moments. You got 3 moments that made it into the year-end calendar from the one Olympics. And
I mean, I don't even remember this blue guy. I know it happened, but I don't really think any of that's gonna get remembered.
And it's not, and it's not. What I'm telling you, if you would ever let me get to the end of the sentence, is that 2024 Olympics broke more records than all the previous Olympics. Like in one Olympics, it broke more records than all the other Olympics. So why wouldn't it be remembered? Especially with so many record-breaking numbers. How is it gonna not be spoken about as one of the most important things of the decade? It was absolutely one of the most important things of the year, I think. 2024 Olympics. Look, 3 moments. Fucking ray gun, turkey shooter,
from like
the fucking thing.
I would because for me, like I felt like this was the least paid attention to Olympics I'd ever encountered, in terms of the people in my life, in terms of the conversation. Like there was a lot of, like, I would say it's the most consumed on TikTok Olympics ever. People weren't like really watching it. They were watching it in like, maybe that would be a thing that will be noteworthy about it, because like I don't think people used to sit there and like watch the Olympics.
Right, but what are we talking about then? Because now you're talking like
Well,
you're
like, 'cause, like,
mincing
I just
hairs again,
well,
right?
no,
Where
but
it's just
I'm
like,
saying it
well,
like
no, I'm saying if everybody's rewatching the video on TikTok, where
but are they
everybody
watching them
watches
like?
everything now, why would it not count? Like, how
Well, what
can
I'm
it not
saying
be one of
is
the
like
biggest
because
Olympics?
like, but like I'm saying that people used to watch it like in front of it in real time. That's how they used to consume it, and
People
now
used to carry Walkman.
that's true. But I don't know. I'm
Okay,
wondering how. I'm just saying I didn't anecdotally,
people
and it
used
could
to
just
do a
be
lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, people used to consume Olympics sitting in front of their TV and watching their TVs, but that's because people used to sit in front of their TVs to watch TV. People don't do that anymore. People watch TV like this now.
right. I look. Maybe the Olympics is, but I feel like this was one of the least significant Olympics from like an Olympics point of view. It just had a lot of memeable moments in it.
I mean, that would discount all the records that got broken, right? Like, I
So
shared a shit ton of videos
so
of
according
record
to
breaking
Google,
athletes.
there were 17 world records broken, the lowest number since before 2004. In 2008, 30 records
So
were
okay, so
broken.
for the low, lowest
I'm just
number
this is
in
yeah.
20 years.
So according to Google, I said 2024 Olympic had more records, and then Google's AI overview said no, the Summer Olympics in Paris had fewer world records broken than other recent Olympic games. So I just Googled that fast. I don't have the full record list,
List of
but
Olympic records in athletics.
there were 17 that were broken. So that's I don't know. I don't know how to gauge this all really, because like maybe I also acknowledge that in my life people didn't care, but also maybe Canada didn't care that much. Maybe they did, or maybe I don't know. I
Yeah,
just didn't find like a lot of people on my timeline or anything was talking about it the way they have in previous Olympics, except for the memeable moments. Because I definitely saw Shooter Man, Ray Gun, the trans boxer person. Like so those shit popped up, but like it wasn't really about the Olympics. It was like almost about the gossipy side of shit. Or I think somebody got in, like I don't know. I don't remember that much else, but like it used to be like the sports was like the focus of it, you know? Like so I think in that regard it was less popular than ever.
I wish right now in this moment, I wish we could replace me with Baxter and then add a third host from South America, because I think it's a better gauge. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like you're talking about it all from personal. I'm trying to look at this from a global standpoint. You are strictly looking at this from a personal perspective.
But like I don't know. I mean maybe I just again like I'm not trying to not take into account the global perspective. I just everything I heard was this was not the most popular Olympics. Just that's what I heard through the media, through the news reporting on it, through all of that. Like it was the least cared about Olympics in a long time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
Maybe
would expect it to be the least viewed, but again, that's because people don't watch. This is literally what you were just arguing with me last week, right? Oh, people bought records back in the days. The way that they consume things is not the way that they consume things anymore. So if people don't watch TV, why would they be watching the fucking Olympics? If people just download stuff and watch TikTok videos and YouTube videos, why would they be watching the live stream of? Most people don't even
that's
have
fair.
like what the fuck did it even stream on? Peacock? Like most people don't even have Peacock. They got Netflix. It wasn't on Netflix. You know what I mean? So people didn't care.
And the Snoop Dogg was a huge moment in the Olympics too. I mean, I guess it had a lot of moments. I don't
It
know
had a
how
lot of
much is.
moments. That's why I'm like, what? That's crazy. But like, I mean, yeah, we're both gonna have two different lists. Um, I just, I would probably listen. I would put the Olympics above fucking Biden versus Trump because this is a global thing that people care about globally. Other countries are invested in the Olympics. Other
Chris
countries
is
are not
saying
invested in America's politics.
so like Chris is saying I think it's because all these overglorified things are getting old for people now, but the idea of Christmas, I don't know about Christmas. So like, I see that in the Olympics. Like, I think people are seeing shit for what it is, and we're all tired. On top of the Olympics this year, felt more baity. The way they cared about how things were perceived or the wokeness in the Olympics, we were all like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna stick to YouTube. And then you had made a good point, Flacco.
Um,
From what I understood, Chris was saying that a lot of people were turned off from the Olympics because of the media cycle around it. So maybe it be the same things that make it memorable are the same things that made less people care, but also made the people who cared more.
yeah, it's one of those things where like I find it hard for people to tell me they don't care about something when they're talking about it all the time, right? So like everybody hated Ray Gun. That's like being like,
I
oh,
was so
um,
entertained by Reagan.
Ray Gun is hated, so the Olympics weren't good. And it's like, no, that's exactly why it was good. Everybody tuned in to hate somebody altogether. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you
That's
mean?
why
How is
valid.
that not popularity? That's the definition of popularity. When everybody's talking about a thing and everybody's talking about how much they hate, even if it's the hated, let's say it is the least viewed, the most terrible Olympics. Okay, so then it gets to go in the record books for being the most terrible
That's
Olympics.
facts
Either
too.
way, it's going in the fucking record books. I tell you this much: when the
I
fucking
was
decade, again, when the decade is reviewed, people again, when the decade is reviewed and CNN does a whole thing about the decade, I'm pretty sure this Olympics will matter more than 2028's Olympics because 2028's Olympics isn't even going to get to have the benefit of having people get to make fun of the B-boys because the B-boy competition is not even going to be included in 2028. Like what? What are we talking about? What viral moments is the Compton fucking Olympics going to have if they don't have
You're
shit
just
like
like
that
you're
available?
completely discounting the Winter
What?
Olympics. You're just completely discounting the
I mean,
Winter
I
shit.
really, I don't. My fault. Like, I don't know when the. I mean, I think the last thing that I knew about caring about the Winter Olympics was fucking Christy Yamaguchi and fucking Tanya Harding and the ankle smashing.
There's good Winter Olympic stuff. I don't know.
I
I'm
mean,
not a huge.
I hear you. I'm just saying when I think back on all the Olympics, I don't think of anything really very important outside of the ice skating, the
Man,
women's figure skating.
like Russia had a whole corruption scandal at their Olympics. That was a big deal. Um,
I mean, I believe you.
I don't know.
Let's
Maybe
look.
like my country
Let
does
me.
better in the
You know
Winter
what?
Olympics.
Let me ask Google Chat GPT, right? Because Chat GPT is most popular. A list. Give me a list of the Olympics by year by popularity.
This is an interesting idea. We should just start using Chat GPT more.
Right. Number one, Summer Olympics, 1996.
Oh wow, the Summer Olympics just beat the shit out the Winter Olympics. It's
Yeah,
not
this
even
is what I'm
close.
telling you. I'm like,
It's
what?
not even fucking close. Valid. Valid.
Nah, actually, you know what? Hold on. Now that I'm scrolling more and more down, okay, they both have eight. Nope. Summer Olympics has 10. Winter Olympics has eight moments. Let's see. Summer Olympics, 1996, Atlanta Centennial Olympics. That one's also iconic because of the bombing that happened there. No, the London Olympics of 2012, known for its dazzling open ceremony. strong athlete performances, including Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps. This is the other thing that's going to matter is the athletes. Like
Facts.
2008 Beijing, China groundbreaking opening ceremony, and see that they keep on saying groundbreaking. This year's is a groundbreaking ceremony too. All the LGBTQ people included in the ceremony opening is going to be groundbreaking, easily being labeled as groundbreaking. And world class venues like the Bird's Nest, Usain Bolt's emergence as a global star. 1984, Los Angeles, USA, revitalized Olympic popularity, heavy commercialization, and Carl Lewis dominance. 2021, Tokyo, Japan, first Olympics during the COVID. Oh, they did have COVID-19 pandemic. I didn't pay attention. Unique challenges and historic victories. Because it was in 2021.
Right.
I was getting
See,
money.
so I think
2004.
so. No, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I could see how the 2021 Olympics being done in the pandemic times is gonna be 100% a top 10 moment because it was such. That's like a crazy
absolutely.
feat.
Absolutely.
You know what? I asked ChatGPT straight up if it felt that the Olympics would count as a moment of the decade, and it said flat out, yes, Olympics often define their decade by embodying spirit, challenges, and triumphs. And this Olympics could do it. I mean, you're right. Apparently, no one cares about Winter Olympics, which, fair enough. Honestly, fair enough. They're definitely
I mean,
not as
listen,
popular.
right? If we're talking about this
ChatGPT
from
gave
the
me numbers by
that,
like just the facts are the facts, man. Like the Olympics, the Winter Olympics gets approximately half the viewership of the Summer Olympics. So that's just the facts are the facts,
right,
bro.
right. All right, buddy. So, like, now let me rub it in. Right. So, because you need ChatGPT to tell you what I'm already telling you, and you don't believe it until ChatGPT tells you. And I hear you. That's very good and gone. All I'm telling you and explaining to you is that, again, you're speaking about everything from your personal perspective. I'm speaking to you about all this stuff from the perspective of what? The globe, the world's perspective. And then what's the thing that I keep on referencing? CNN doing a decade in review. Have you watched any of these decade in reviews from CNN? I'm guessing you haven't.
No.
Right. I have. So, Holden, I've got the experience of watching those to tell you, hey, you want to know what gets mentioned the most in these things of the decade? The presidents, the Olympics, big wars, big sporting global event thing. That's what gets named. You know what I mean? And then when you have moments like fucking what you call it? OJ Simpson driving a fucking Bronco on a fucking highway. You know what I mean? Like moments that everybody tunes into type shit. But even that is like different the way, which is applicable to the thing with Lindell, right? Lindell keeps on talking about the popularity, the immense popularity of his era and where he when he grew up. And I keep on explaining to him, it's only that way in his head that there are people who are born after you who don't give a fuck about anything that happened before they were born. I'm like that. I was born, by the way, Lindell. This is a reference to. We'll bring it up at the end. But you assume that I was born in the middle of the '80s. I was born in 1980, the year, literally, not the middle of the '80s, right? So, like you're suspecting wrong, but like for me, I'm born in 1980. I don't give a fuck about Star Wars because it came before me. It came before 1970 something. So when I was a little kid in 1985 or 86, and people are like, hey, you want to watch Star Wars? I'm like, no, motherfucker. That shit looks old, bro. I'm watching Schwarzenegger. I'm watching fucking Sylvester Stallone, bro. I'm watching new animation, new graphics. I'm watching new shit that's relevant to my era, my generation. This is what I care about. All that other shit before I was born, that was for everybody else before I was born. That was their shit. I don't give a fuck about their shit. But I'm a little kid, right? Then I get older and I start caring about hip hop or then I get older, and because hip hop matters to me so much, I start caring about the samples, about the songs that I love from hip hop. But the songs that I love from hip hop still matter to me more than the songs that they sampled. I care about Biggie's Juicy more than I care about Umtum's Juicy. You get it? And that's how it's going to be forever. And that's how it's going to be for every generation of people. And you and me and everybody on earth needs to understand that. Like, young people who are born after you don't give a fuck about your shit. So all the kids that are born fucking six, my Hot's kids don't give a fuck about Linkin Park, bro. They don't care. Doesn't matter how popular Linkin Park was to you and all your friends. They don't give a fuck. It's not relevant to them. That's it. And the Eagles were not relevant to me. I'm a black man from the Bronx, New York City, from a Latin ethnic background, growing up in the era of the popularity of hip hop. Bro, I didn't give a fuck about anything except hip hop. Logically so. Logically so. I was being raised in the Bronx, in New York City. Why would I listen to anything except the stuff that we were listening to when we were pushing a new culture forward? You know what I mean? We had our own. It's our culture. It's Bronx culture that the rest of the world got when they got hip hop. So, like, why would I get enthralled in anything else when I have a culture of my own, a language that we're all speaking here, a coded language that we're all speaking here in the Bronx? Like, why would I care about anything outside of that? You know what I mean? There's something that's very pivotal going on right now. I mean, I could have, right? There were people who didn't care about hip hop in the Bronx in that
I'm
era.
pretty sure there were probably people in the Bronx that fucked with the Eagles. We heard some Puerto Ricans that fucked with rock music in Puerto Rico. So I assume a few of them up in Bronx did.
Absolutely. This one did not.
Hotel California was huge. I'm like, maybe not to your level, but I'm like, that shit be like in movies and shit. It'd be like big.
Shit. I mean, what movies was it in?
I'd have to Google it because off the top of my head, I don't know. It's in The Big Lebowski, absolutely famous, American Horror Stories, The Sopranos.
I did not watch The Big Lebowski, yo. That is a good example of a white movie that turned not white. Like, black people love that movie, but I did not ever come around with everybody else. Let's see.
Yeah.
No. Keep naming them.
Absolutely famous. Hold on. That's all it listed. Absolutely famous, American Horror Story, The Sopranos, and whatever Shang-Chi is in. I don't know.
Yeah, Shang-Chi is the Marvel movie. That happened after Frank Ocean. Which, again, a lot of these songs, they wouldn't be shit. Like, all those songs that Kanye sampled for Jay-Z on Blueprint, that is the reason that those songs now get put and played, the original song, in Lincoln car ads. It's not because of the original song being great. It's because of Kanye and Jay-Z.
Hotel California,
and if it wasn't for Kanye and Jay-Z,
defense, is one of the most pop.
Right. Again, I didn't mean to be talking while you interrupted. Right. So, right. These songs are being. I'm speaking about a specific thing here. Right. There are Lincoln vehicle ads, and that I've watched that have songs that these songs weren't. Kanye sampled them, and Kanye sampled songs that were from the soul era that were not #1 hits. So we're not talking about songs that are like, Marvin Gaye's fucking What's Going On, right? Which is a hit of the decade. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the song that was the fucking track #8 on an album that just had incredible horns. And Kanye sampled that song. And then Kanye made that song popular. And now Lincoln uses the original song in their ads, that's directly thanks to Kanye, because that song was never a #1 hit. So it's not getting it's not getting used in an ad in 2024 because it was such a big hit and then became a fucking underground hit 20 years later. No. It's because Kanye sampled the fucking song. Like, don't take away people's credit, because Holden, if you did some shit like
But
sample a song and you
bro,
were a
but like,
producer, you
I'm
would
just
want your
saying.
hold. You still not let me finish, Papa. Let me finish the sentence. It's almost coming to a close here. If you were the producer of all those songs that Kanye produced and made popular that were not #1 hits, you would want your fucking credit for making those songs popular, because they weren't popular like that before. So yes, Hotel California was a popular song in its era, but then it had a lull for a very long time, and then here comes Frank Ocean. He uses it and he makes it popular to a new generation of people who did not give a fuck about that song.
I mean, I would say in normal situations, I would agree with you, but like Hotel California was a #1 song forever. It has been covered by thousands of artists, kept alive. Like, maybe not in the hood, but like, man, I can't. It's been like a
Yeah,
wedding song,
I wasn't denying that. I never
a
said
wedding
the
song for
world doesn't
like,
give a fuck about. I never said the world doesn't give a
but
fuck
like,
about Hotel. I said I didn't, and you guys
no,
got up in arms about it. Like, I'm not allowed to not know a song. What?
no, you're allowed to
That's
not. But
absurd.
I mean, like, to me,
That's
it's like
absurd. I'm
you're allowed
telling
to
you,
not
I
know. I
grew up
know.
in the Bronx. I
I
grew
was
up in the Bronx
I
amongst
was,
the birth of hip hop from 1980 till now, right? And I didn't hear Hotel California because the Eagles weren't big, because the world was hip hop to me.
that's
If I lived
understandable.
in Montreal, I'm pretty sure. I lived wherever Lindell grew up. I'm pretty sure I would have fucking. You want to know why? Because white people are the most famous people everywhere else. I was privileged
Well,
enough to grow up in a borough, in a city where white people weren't the priority, and you guys did not get to influence what was the popular thing. And here in New York City, hip hop was the most popular thing to us. And we grew up listening to nothing but that. And that was the popular thing. So Public Enemy was the Eagles, right? And then there's white people that probably from that era that were alive that would be like, who's Public Enemy? Who's Jam Master Jay? Right? I don't go in a
right.
fucking tizzy over the shit. I understand you're a fucking white person who grew up not around this shit. That's it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that the world doesn't know the Eagles. I'm not saying that nobody knows the Eagles. I'm saying I didn't know the Eagles. And
Right.
that is okay.
It is definitely
Okay.
okay. I don't
Super
really like the
okay.
Eagles much.
You
I
guys,
find
like, it feels like I'm defending myself from like, what?
nobody was
What?
attacking.
How is this? Not like an attack, buddy.
None of it was an attack.
I
I
don't
was
know,
just
man.
saying it's a
You're
number
trying to.
one.
It's definitely a
That's
#1.
all.
It's super
That's all
number
I was
one.
saying.
It's super #1. Absolutely. But why?
As for the rest
I'm
of
trying
it,
to explain. For the rest of it, I'm trying to explain why it wouldn't have ever came across right. Like, I'm giving logical reasons for why it wouldn't have came across my board, right? Like, yes, it's a #1 record in 19, when was it that it was a #1 record?
uh,
1977?
some yeah.
77. In 1977, when it releases, it's a #1 record. I'm born in 1980.
All
So
right,
already right there, you know what I mean? Already doesn't make sense. Like, what? Like, why
man.
would I?
That song was around
Then
everywhere.
then you add to the fact I grew up in the Bronx around black and brown people with no white people around like that, right? And then our white people that were around weren't listening to that. They were doing the same thing we were doing. They were listening to hip hop. If anything, I feel like the only thing that I got from white people that I grew up around was music that I didn't listen to from our music. So it was like Beastie Boys. That was the only time I would hear Beastie Boys when I'd be around white people from the Bronx. because the white people from the Bronx listened to the Beastie Boys. But nobody else in the Bronx listened to the Beastie Boys. It wasn't like the black and brown people in my building were listening to the Beastie Boys. We were not. It was not playing on the corner. It was not playing in the project. But when I would hang out with fucking Anthony Bordino from fucking Thwaites Place, you know, he would play fucking Beastie Boys and shit. And I'd be like, okay, cool, man. I'm just saying, it just so happened that nowhere that I grew up did it. And then what movies was it in again? You didn't finish naming the movies because
It's only like those.
let's ask ChatGPT, what movie was the Eagles Hotel California featured in? Yeah, like The Big Lebowski, super like, yo, I'm sorry, I did not watch. Okay, yeah, so it's just The Big Lebowski and Shang-Chi, bro. Like, I didn't watch The Big Lebowski in 1998. Fuck around, though. Frank Ocean did watch The Big Lebowski in 1998, which is why, or 2000 and something, and which is why he ended up covering The Big Lebowski. Hotel California. You know what I mean? Like, fuck around, and that's why. Because why would Frank Ocean be up on Hotel California? You know what I mean? Like, what?
I mean, like I said, for me at least, I look at it like you come from a place where culture is being created all around you all the time, right? I come from a place where culture is absorbed via media. And you're just like, yo, literally when I grew up, shit would be like the movies came out 6 months later in Canada. That's not even a joke. It just would be like 6 months later. The release dates of the music would all come out 6 months later. Like it wasn't even at the same time. It was because of the internet that all got balanced out. But like, so for most of us, it's like, what do we have but whatever songs were played on the radio? And then in New York, you have the block where it's probably more lit than the radio. But even our block is just going to be records that were processed through to the music stores and shit. Because even our underground, it's very rare that somebody would go to a New York and get it. So I think most of the world at least has an experience that's kind of more like, it's surprising when you hear somebody doesn't know a giant radio hit that gets played every year on all these fucking greatest songs of all times lists, and just you can't avoid it. To me, like I hate this song. I actually do not like the Eagles. Don't enjoy it at all. But that song is so unavoidable. And then they get so excited when this is white people. I mean, so excited when the song comes out.
I've seen white people get excited for other shit, more like Caroline. Oh,
that song makes no sense either.
Like that's way more popular in the Bronx than the Eagles.
Because it's got a really long. It's like it's not gonna be a karaoke song because it has a really long guitar intro. So but like it's one of them joints that acoustic guitar playing motherfuckers all memorize, and then sing along to. And when you start listening,
I also had never heard of Queen before I watched Wayne's World.
That's why. Well, maybe I don't know. I know Queen. I think.
And
Wayne's World was out when I was alive, so it's hard for me to have any opinion on that.
And thanks to that scene in Wayne's World, I now know Bohemian Rhapsody. Because I didn't know Bohemian Rhapsody before that movie.
I've been on the bus so many times, and when I'm saying
again though,
once,
right?
And that should be like sing along line for the whole bus.
But what I'm trying to say with all of this that I'm saying about me is just, hey, FYI, just so you know, right? There's a world of people, not a world, but there's a whole different contingency in the world that are unaware of the things that you're aware of. Right. So the things that you think of as like, oh, everybody knows that. No, not everybody knows that. I don't live in your world, Holden. I don't live in fucking Montreal. I don't live in fucking Canada. I don't, no. I wasn't born in 86, eight.
I'm
What was it?
87.
What is it? 87. Okay. So I wasn't born in Canada in 1987. I was born
Super
in New York
different.
City in 1980, and it's just different. And like when you can acknowledge that, that's when you can start thinking about, oh, so somebody who's probably born in 1990 in Korea is probably also like got a lot of differences with me than and just is unaware about all the shit that I'm aware about. You know what I mean? Like that's probably what's happening, you know, more so than, you know, especially if they are a person, like I said, with Korean people having their moment with K-pop or
Yeah.
African people having their moment with Afrobeat. When people have a moment, it's because they stop concentrating on everything outside of their home and they started concentrating on their home. That's the only way you get a movement. That's what I was always telling you about Montreal and why you guys don't have a real scene, is because you never concentrated on yourself to cultivate a scene, to create a sound that would then help define the scene in Montreal, that would then create artists that define that sound and they define each other. And that's what creates a movement. You know what I mean? And in New York City, we've had our own movement for a very long time. And our movement was the movement that changed the rest of the world, not the other way around. So there's a whole bunch of people that live here that are like me, that are like, yo, bro, I listen to hip hop, R&B, some dance hall, and that is it. That was me up until the age of about, I want to say like maybe 24, 25. You know, I refused to listen to any rock and roll. My friend would come over and he would record the MTV Music Awards, and because he had cable and I didn't, and I would leave the room when the rock stuff would come on. So all that Green Day stuff, he was into all that shit. I would
Yeah, Green
leave
Day
the
is lit.
room. I would leave the room. I would leave the room. It would make me nauseous. That type of music would make
That's
me sick to my
wild.
stomach when I was a young kid. Because I was like, bro, I do not like this shit. What is this shit? This is jarring to my ears. Why is the fucking sound of the guitar like that? Why is this? I definitely wasn't listening to no fucking Nine Inch Nails. I wasn't listening to no
Oh, I
Marilyn
love all
Manson.
that shit.
All that shit was jarring to my ears. It was like fucking like fucking claws on a fucking chalkboard. Like, bro, what are we doing? Like, nah, take that shit off right now. I super did not listen to Metallica. I still have yet to listen to Metallica to this day. Their music still feels like way too much going on that I don't want in my life. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean,
but
I hear what you're saying
but
more than I
again,
know what
if
you're saying.
I'm thinking like that, and I'm an open-minded person from New York City, the Bronx, New York City, for my era. Imagine how many closed-minded people from my city that are born around the same time and even after me that don't give a fuck about any of that shit, because we had our own shit going on. Why would we pay attention to any of that shit? I have, to me, the biggest artist, and then we have a radio station where the rest of the country, where in 1986, or matter of fact, let's take it more recent. Like in 1993, Montreal did not have a hip hop radio station.
Well, we still don't have a hip hop radio station.
Still don't got a hip hop. That's amazing. That's crazy to me. But so the point being is, so of course you're not gonna listen to fucking hip hop like that. But in New York City, when you get the first ever global, like never has there ever been a 24-hour hip hop radio station. Guess what the fuck everybody in New York City is doing?
Okay,
Listening.
CKT has hip hop shows. It's not 24/7 hip hop.
You know what I mean? No, like
Right.
we had the first 24-hour hip hop station. So what do you think kids are gonna be listening to? 24-hour hip hop station.
But
And
y'all
what's
also
Hot
like
97's
popularized
tag?
punk and a
Hot
bunch of
90.
other shit at the same time, no? Like you also popularized at the exact same time a
Yes,
super
yes.
bunch of white shit.
You would also have to be in those circles. Like I'm not in the 1980s. I'm not going down to fucking lower. I'm a little kid. Do I look like the fucking girl accusing Diddy and Jay-Z? talking about being 13 and going to fucking VMAs and shit. Like, what? You thought that I was 13 being allowed into fucking CBGBs? No, it's not the way it goes.
I don't know
Like,
what that
what?
means.
CBGBs? You don't know what CBGBs is?
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about punk music. I thought you would fucking think about the most, like, yeah, we invented punk, and it was invented at the most famous venue for punk music, which is CBGBs.
You just
That's
gotta
where
think
punk
about
music
how
got invented.
little New York venues I knew when we started talking about New York
Nah, I
venues.
know, but you brought up
Oh,
fucking punk
yeah, because I
music.
like
I
the
don't fucking.
music, and I
Hey,
know
so if
that New
you like
York
the
pop.
music, then you
I
should
actually
know that
learned.
fucking
No, but I
CBGBs is
I
fucking.
learned, but I learned through the perspective show how, or at least when we were doing the interviews, the impact that New York City had on punk. It wasn't something I really knew outside of our interviews. I learned that through like the
I'm
conversations
googling.
more.
Let me see. I'm googling it. I should really go to ChatGPT. Uh, where was punk music created physically?
So I asked where it was popularized because I didn't know if it was created
Yeah,
in New York.
number one. Nah, it was created in New York City
Right, at
at
CBGB.
CBGB.
Right. So I didn't know that, but I knew that New York City was a huge, like it was where it came from because it happened at the same time as hip hop, which is crazy to me
Yeah,
how you,
yeah.
like at the same
The city
city,
is split.
and
The
then you
city was
have two
split.
of some of the craziest movements come out
Two different.
that are so
Yeah.
similar but diametrically opposed, but so
I mean,
similar.
not opposed. They were they. If you talk to people from, like, again, you're talking to somebody who was. It's not like I was fucking Fab Five Freddy. I'm not Fab Five Freddy. So I wasn't fucking 24 years old when hip hop is first in 1984, right? So like Fab
No.
Five Freddy is going from hip hop events and jams in the park to downtown Manhattan and punk party because he's of age and he would do that, right? Like, I'm pretty sure there were other people that were black and brown and will walk both worlds, but it's not the overall because the reason that hip hop was invented and was birthed overall was because we were not invited. We were not allowed downtown Manhattan. We were not invited to those parties. We were not, you would just be kept at the door. Those were not the days of PC culture. They could just keep you at the door like, no, nigger, you cannot come in. Sorry, this party is not for
Right.
you, sir. Go back to the
Right.
Bronx. Go back to Brooklyn. Go back to Queens. Go back to where the fuck you're coming from. And so that is why hip hop is born because we weren't allowed at the disco clubs when disco is going on and we want to dance. And then punk music, I'm pretty sure we were allowed into those things. It's just by the time punk is being born, hip hop's being born. So it's
Right.
like, what party are you going to? The party in your neighborhood that, is DJ'd by your third cousin or your best friend's fucking friend or cousin or some shit like that? Or, some uncomfortable environment that you're unfamiliar with downtown Manhattan. You know what I mean? Like, you're probably gonna just fucking party at the hip hop thing? Um, so yeah, no,
Right.
I did not listen to no punk. I did not. I was in the Bronx, enthralled in hip hop. There was culture going on around me. And this is, but again, just to get to where I was trying to get to, this is why I say that there's probably a bunch of people in South Korea that don't give a fuck about American culture. That is why their arts are thriving so much right now. That is why their directors, their movies, their music is blowing up globally because they stopped spending their money on importing those products and they started spending their time on developing those products. And now they are exporting those products to other people. And the world is fucking sucking up. I mean, K-pop, K-pop. Oh my God, I love fucking K-pop. And so why would you? They're trying to enthrall themselves in their own culture. So if you're trying to enthrall yourself in your own culture, why would you waste time paying attention to fucking Hop Tour? Or, you know what I mean? And
Man,
so also K-pop fucking Korean person, you know, probably going to care about the Olympics more than they're gonna care about Biden versus Trump or fucking Hawk Tua. Kendrick and Drake is more relevant to them because those are fucking national, international,
the
global
only thing
artists.
I would say is like anything that integrates with our culture has a shared interest. So again, I never thought it would be a large percentage, but I think there would be this small subset of people because all the
Yeah,
K-pop stars are working with all the American stars. So
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, so like
Yeah,
a subsect of it
I
all
agree.
will
You say a
intersect.
subsect, a short, a small percentage. I agree 100%. Absolutely. And
And
so
yeah,
August. Um,
right. I don't know who won. Somebody
I don't
won
know who
something.
won. Somebody won something. Is that USA? Oh, they got the gold medal. The USA team. It's not like
Oh,
that matters, bro. That shit.
no,
We
okay,
always
I
win
could
gold
sure.
at the fucking. I forgot who that is, but I tell you, that's another controversy that I think will last from these Olympics. Was the fucking gold medals getting like if anything, again,
Oh,
it's
that's the
just to
girl
reflect
who bit the
that
medal because the other girls bit the medal and she didn't know what she was doing. She saw them doing it, so she just copied them because she wanted to fit in, and it was really cute.
yeah, and so I just think that these Olympics will go down for the decade, even if it is for bad press.
Right. Um,
There goes Simone Biles underneath the gold medal people. Then
right.
we get Nelly. I don't know what that's about. Why Nelly's there? What
Didn't he
was
have a
Nelly's viral
DUI or
moment?
something?
Oh, right, he had a DUI. And who's that dude in front of Nelly?
I feel like I want to, I know, but I don't remember.
And then there goes fucking
That's the very demure, very
very
mindful,
demure,
very
very
cutesy.
mindful, very
That
cutesy.
shit. No, that shit. I don't think it's gonna be like a mega hit, but that shit's not going nowhere because corporate America likes it, and it's over once corporate America likes it. That's that like you're gonna see it used in advertisements for fucking ever. Just little throwbacks to it. But otherwise, I don't think it's a big moment. Like it's not like it ranks. It's just gonna be a long lasting one. That's how I feel about the very demure thing. Like it hit. It struck a
Word,
chord. I
word. I
still
think
see people referencing it.
it'll definitely stick. Yeah, I still see people referencing. Um, then
September.
September. I don't know what the fuck that cat means. Um,
Oh, that's when Trump said that the fucking eat the cats for dinner shit in his like speech in
right,
his
right,
debate
right,
with Kamala.
right,
Oh my
right,
gosh,
right.
that was a vibe.
Is
Eat the
that Meek
cats for
Mill
dinner.
next to between fucking Kamala and fucking Trump?
No,
Or
that's the Shay Shay sex tape. That's Shay Shay, and that's the sex tape month.
no, I'm talking about the guy literally between Kamala and Trump.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know who
that's
that
Meek.
is.
It looks like
Maybe.
no, nope. Um,
I don't know.
uh, and did I don't know what the fuck. The baby
Not
lotion,
sure.
the baby oil with
Came
Diddy.
out.
He got raided. Shay Shay. I
That
think
was
that might
definitely
be the
that
porn
was the sex tape.
sex tape. I don't know, man. I don't know who the rest of that is.
That's Cardi, right? Because her and
Yeah,
Offset
that's
get
Cardi.
divorced.
I just don't know if the and
Cardi.
did came from Cardi or if it came from Kamala. And I definitely don't know who that white girl is at the bottom.
I feel like I forgot who she is. I just don't remember. Not that important, I guess.
Probably some white
Um,
person being racist. All right, let's move on. Chris will inform us.
October
I
has.
mean, if I were to,
Oh, Cardi said and did.
okay,
I don't know what that means.
okay,
Fine. That was the statue nobody liked, but homie
that
approved.
was the Dwayne Wade statue.
Right. Um, then what? Lil Durk gets in trouble. I think he gets hit up with a RICO and is facing some charges. I haven't really followed what happened with that since, but I believe that's what went on there. I don't know what's going on with the basketball people. Did the Lakers
Um,
win?
I can't see because of my hold on, our little Tiffin. Young Thug got off. LeBron got to play with his son. His son started with the Lakers, and then Little Dirk
Oh,
got
yeah.
arrested by the feds. Little Dirk got
Right.
arrested by the
Yeah.
feds. Yeah.
No, yeah, that was
Um,
apparently the first time in history that a father and son have played together on the same team in the NBA, and it's a huge moment, even if I don't fully understand the hugeness of the moment.
no, it's definitely a huge moment. Then moving on to November, or Kendrick versus Drake. How is it still in November?
That's the
I thought it
lawsuit.
was.
That's the
Oh, the
UNG
lawsuit.
lawsuit.
Copy, copy, copy. Then the
Trump
election,
wins.
Trump
Yeah.
wins, and then December comes, and we get Jay-Z in the lawsuit with Diddy. Um,
Who's that?
that's this kid, that's the football player with his girl who's like getting roasted online for being um promiscuous. His girl was crying at his girl, that guy just won the Heisman Trophy with the T-shirt, right? And his girl is on video going to see Thugger in jail and crying because Thugger dumped her pretty much on camera in jail. Like,
Mm.
girl, maybe you should find something else to care about and not me.
And
And
then
then
this guy.
that won the Heisman said about his girl, yeah, you should drive her to parties and I would sit in the car and wait for her outside, which is like,
Ooh.
wow. I'm mad you're proud of that, my guy. And then that's the Mangione guy that shot
Yeah,
the
Luigi Mangione. Now he's probably a moment of the year.
nah, super close, super too soon to call. Way too soon to call.
Fair. It could. I mean, you're right.
I got
It's
a
too
funny
soon to
feeling.
call.
I got a funny feeling we pull this same shit up back in or come fucking June. You're gonna be like, who is this guy? Same as you're saying about a bunch of people. I don't know this guy over here in May
I
with
don't know,
these kids
Luigi.
behind him.
Like he's gonna end up being canonized through like reality
Maybe,
television.
maybe we don't know that yet.
I
We
mean,
don't know that yet. That hasn't happened yet.
uh, TMZ already dropped a little thing on him. I don't know. We're gonna see
TMZ
what happens.
covered him. TMZ covered him, and all this is like we're talking about it. We're talking about when it's in the news cycle. I'm still thinking about
Right.
it like when it's out the news cycle. How much will people care? And I don't think people will care much.
Yeah.
I
I
think
guess it
I think
depends.
now if you tell me that people are it starts a spree of CEOs
Right.
being murdered, then people will care about him. And even then, I don't think people will care about him too much. People never care about the first that did it. They care about the best to have done it.
Well, it depends on if his manifestos in a way that resonates with people.
I doubt it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I
The
don't
main
really
thing
plan on
about all
reading it.
these manifestos is that you have to have a certain amount of anger at life and upset at but like privileged entitled upsetness, you know?
Right.
You don't ever see black people fucking go shoot up some shit and have a manifesto.
Uh, I
And
guess.
we're fucking oppressed as shit. So it's just like what?
I
Some
mean, I
fucking
don't.
like
I don't know.
Mangione hurt his back fucking that which by the way, this is some wild white privilege shit. Like, you know, he hurt his back taking fucking surfing lessons. Like, you want me to feel bad for you, bro? Like, I don't. I super don't. I don't care. Like, oh, that must be nice to be able to take fucking surfing lessons while you're unemployed. Like, I never took surfing lessons while I was
So I
unemployed.
just googled it for fun, and there was a black manifesto that came out in 1969,
Oh wait,
and
also the black military guy that was shooting the cops and shit. That guy's awesome though. He had a
I'm just,
manifesto.
I was just wanting to give love to the manifesto writers out there, because I mean, it's like memoirs. It's like anyone can really do it. It's just doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be impactful.
Oh no, you're talking about. I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm not talking
I
about
just
manifestos written by black people. There's plenty of manifestos written by black people. I'm
right,
talking
right.
about a manifesto written by a black person that commits a crime, a mass murder incident. That's a mostly white thing. You understand?
Right.
Like everybody had a manifesto. Didn't the what was the fucking kids that shot up the school?
The
Columbine
Columbine
kids.
kids.
The Columbine kids. Didn't they have a manifesto? I know.
I'm
I know
checking.
for a fact. I know for a fact the Atlanta bomber, the guy that bombed the Atlanta thing had a manifesto. The Olympics, he had a manifesto. Um,
I mean, Wikipedia is
Mass
not saying nothing about a
murderer
manifesto for
with
like.
manifestos. List of manifestos of mass killers. Wikipedia.
That's wild
Here
that
goes
this
the
is a
list.
thing. Yeah.
Let me look at the authors. Right. Um, Industrial Society and its Future. Ted Kaczynski.
Oh wow,
That
the
is
Virginia Tech guy had one. He was an
Virginia
Asian
Tech.
kid.
Ted. Um, Pekka.
To to your credit, these are not. These are all ranging in a certain pigment color.
Certain pigment color. I'm not saying it
Just
because I'm an
to
asshole. I'm
nope,
just
but to your
saying. I'm
credit,
just saying the
like
truth of.
none of these names are going in the pigment color that you said does not have them.
Chris Dorner, which is the guy that I mentioned from 2013. He's the ex-military that went on a killing spree and killed a bunch of LAPD officers and killed a bunch of California police. Um,
It's just
yo,
crazy how many of these
Chris
guys have
Dorner,
manifestos.
fucking
Holy
hero.
shit!
Now
It's like it's
that guy's
part
a
of.
fucking hero. See, like
I'm just.
I look at the difference. Like, look at even the difference though, right? In what we're talking about. Let's look at these. Let's look at this list, right? Ted Kaczynski does what? What is it that he did? He is the American
Hold on, let me
mathematician,
move this
domestic
list right
terrorist,
in front of
uh,
you people.
abandoned his academic career. He's the Unabomber. He blew up a bunch of buildings that had all sorts of people in it, right? Robert
Yeah,
Flores, uh, committing the shooting, giving a chronology of seven,
killed
uh,
some professors at a
killed
school.
at a school, right? Very white behavior. Sung Hui Cho, Columbine.
He's the no, he's
Uh,
not Columbine. He's the Texas Tech kid.
okay, Texas Tech kid. The Columbine kids, I'm pretty again mass murdering other people.
They
When
didn't
there's
have a
finally,
manifesto though. This is the
when there's
manifesto
finally,
killer
when
list.
there's finally, the point that I'm trying to get to is that when there finally is a black mass killer with a manifesto, he didn't shoot up a school. He killed police. He's a hero. You understand? Like there's a difference. There's a difference between he didn't kill unarmed people. He went after armed people, right? The Unabomber is setting up bombs where people are just going to work innocent victims. A majority of all these people have innocent victims. Chris Dorner showed up and killed police for being racist, black, killing scumbags that the police are across the United States of America and in other places.
Mm.
And so Chris Dorner is a fucking hero. Same as fucking, oh my God, what was his name from, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. New York City police killer. Uh,
We are sidetracked.
1990s New York City police killer. No. What the fuck? Oh, okay, police
ChatGPT.
killer, black man. Let me put black man.
Who is
Then
that?
they're gonna be like, oh, we know exactly what you're talking about. No, not killed by police, you fucking idiot.
Mumia Abu Jamal, Larry Davis.
Larry Davis.
He was in the
Larry
80s.
Davis. Larry Davis.
You know what? I put who is the police killer in the 90s? Who is black
He
man?
didn't get caught until the 90s.
Shout out ChatGPT for understanding it
Right.
with bad grammar and everything.
Larry Davis, yo. Larry Davis is a hero, and Chris Dorner is a hero, bro. Like those are heroes to us. Like it's crazy how like our crazed manifesto shooters are like actually heroes to us. I don't know if Luigi Mangione is not. I don't know if he'll go down as a hero.
Bro,
Like we will see.
unfortunately, I mean,
We
okay,
will
I
see.
can't say for
The initial,
forever, but
the
bro, I
initial.
actually like I just know
I
too
watched it.
many.
I watched it. I know what I'm seeing, and I know what I'm saying. I
It's so
watched it. I
corny.
know that most people are giving him props for it, but guess what? Everybody on the radio, all the public figures are giving him shit for it, right? Charlemagne the God, Ebro, Hot 97, Breakfast Club, Joe Button, all these guys are giving him shit for it, right? Like they're like, oh, like he didn't even do nothing, like, and he changed nothing. Now he goes to jail and he changed nothing. You just killed a father of three, and you changed nothing. That's the feeling that a lot of people also have, and then and a lot of people are saying that essentially everybody who's cheering him on is glorifying a killer, right? And so it's not the same thing as like Larry Davis and Chris Dorner, like not right now.
No.
And we're in the aftermath
Well,
of it, the immediate aftermath of it. We got to get some
he's a
time
weird.
separated from it.
So what he is he's a hero to a bunch of weirdo white kids that hate rich people, and
No,
just
there's it's not just
fantasize.
white. There's people of all colors, right? That hate like the wealthy. There's a bunch of people that I
Like
saw
they're the people
that
that
when
like
this happened,
literally like I know people who write songs almost fantasizing about doing what this guy did, and
yes,
so he's living out this. I don't
and I
actually
know
agree
black
with
people
that.
like that.
I don't agree with them because it doesn't make sense to me. But like, I just wonder if for a lot of lonely broke people, this guy is gonna become a weird folk hero. No, not necessarily at large, but
We will see.
for that group of people. But we'll see, I guess. I don't know. I hope it doesn't inspire some more shit.
Yo, off cam Chris, I was being facetious. My fault, bro. That might not be a dude. That's probably a girl. Probably a lady. I don't know. Zoom in. Let's see if we can get a better idea.
All right,
Blonde.
so
Try looking up blonde lady from September 2024. Viral
what
blonde lady.
what do you think the top 3 moments of the year would be?
Drake and Kendrick, number one. Um, Diddy, number two. Olympics, number three.
Hmm.
My list.
Yeah, I like. There's a part of me that I don't actually think my list is any different given our whole conversation. Like, there's a part of me that's like Trump getting shot's a big deal, but like it's not really a big deal. It felt like a big deal. Like it's not like it was. It would be like I think the most visually striking image of 2024 would be the one of Trump with his fist up. That might be like an image that gets remembered forever.
That was
But
the
as
one
a
of him
moment,
getting shot.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's the
would
one of him
be a
getting
huge.
shot.
But like as a moment, I don't know. I don't think like people are gonna go back and talk about this assassination attempt in any significant way.
No, I don't. I mean, think about it. People barely talk about Ronald Reagan attempted assassination attempt. You know,
But like it
um,
makes sense like on a
when
Time magazine cover.
when when um when it happened, it was the biggest news in the world, right? Um, Years removed from it, it was still a big deal. I remember growing up in the '80s and that being like a thing. Like, oh my god, like fucking guy tried to kill fucking Reagan. Um, but like as we got into like Bush Jr. and Obama years, nobody gave a fuck about that. Nobody even remembered that shit like that. There were people born that didn't even know that that shit happened. You know what I mean? Like they didn't give a fuck about Reagan, and they didn't even know that that shit happened. Um, and then it just got spoken about less and less. Now there's about to be a movie about Reagan's life that comes out, and the question is, will that be even included? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's so much other shit to like cover in that movie, right? He's an actor from Hollywood. Him getting married to Nancy, um, all this other shit is what matters.
Mm.
The
I wonder.
attempted murder on his life that was unsuccessful is probably a footnote, if that, to be addressed. So I doubt. And
Nah.
then with Trump, what happens with Trump is that Trump has the disadvantage that most people think that it's a conspiracy. Like the only people that think that Trump got an assassination attempt are like fucking people who don't care at all and Trump fans. Like all the people who voted for Kamala and like all the like conspiracy theorists swear that that was like a bullshit. Like he didn't
Maybe,
actually get
but like,
shot. It's bullshit. They think.
I also just don't think Trump winning the second time is as big of a deal as anyone made it feel like it would be. Cause like, he's only in power for 4 years, and then it's gonna change. So like, no matter what happens over the next few years, it's not like he doesn't have like the 8-year run thing, where like everyone knows your first 4 years you fight and fight, and then it's in the next 4 years you get shit done. So he's never gonna really have that. He's just always gonna be fighting uphill battles the whole way through this run, and Chris is like, I'm lost, guys. I can't figure it out. Chris, open up
All good.
ChatGPT,
All good.
cut and paste the picture, and be like, who is this woman? See if that works. But yeah, I still think like your list is right. The Olympics will have overall like individual moments. It's hard to say, but the collective Olympics is probably going to be the biggest thing of all the things. Drake and Kendrick is going to be huge for pop culture fans, but then again, there's like a whole bunch of people who literally don't give a fuck, never gave a fuck, and won't ever give a fuck about Drake and Kendrick because they just don't care at all about the beef. Like they don't. There's people who to this day don't know that it happened. I've encountered them, and I'm like, all right. So I don't think it's as big as the Olympics based on how you put it. But I think Diddy would be the second biggest moment because that Diddy shit's huge. That's going to be like, the news is going to have a field day with that shit all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, the Nikki Glacier opened up the, Golden Globes last night with a whole big thing, and that was part of it. Like, but at least she said the quiet part out loud, which is like, oh, this year's party will, be a lot like whacker, but like, which is like a falsehood because Diddy never hosted the after party for Golden Globes, right?
Or did he?
But what she is making light of that, like a lot of people don't mention, is like Leonardo DiCaprio was at all of Diddy's parties. Like that's another thing people don't want to talk about. Leonardo DiCaprio. Like if Diddy's guilty, throw fucking Leonardo DiCaprio in jail too. Leonardo DiCaprio is a super pervert. He's constantly fucking with underage girls. He stays around an 18-year-old model, and nobody finds that suspect at all. So Drake is suspect for being friends with
Just
11, the Stranger Things girl, who's a star, and he just gave her advice, right? But like Leonardo DiCaprio dating nothing but 18-year-old fucking models, like even at his old age right now,
and to be clear,
isn't suspect.
At least one of them he had known since she was 12 in a very similar to Drake's story, and then proceeded to actually date her, where Drake, to my knowledge, did not date Billie.
No, he did
Millie
not
Bobby
date
Brown.
Billy ever, and Millie Bobby Brown
Millie
is now
Bobby Brown.
married.
But isn't she? But
Yeah,
isn't she with like a wild older guy still?
she's married now. Yeah, I think he's older than her, but let's look it up.
But yeah, just cause like I don't know. I went down. I think I saw the Millie Bob, or sorry, the Leo DiCaprio thing. So I was curious if he was like actually with underage girls, where I couldn't find any proof of it.
Nah, it's
But
only like a 2 year age gap.
okay, no, my bad.
That
It
shit
was
doesn't
somebody
count.
else that I was thinking of then. But yeah, and then I realized that at least one of the girls that Leo was with, he had been talking to since she was 12 in a really similar situation. And I don't know, Leo just breaks up with all of them when they turn 25 and moves on to the next one. And I don't know. It's definitely weird. I don't know if it's illegal, but it's weird. Especially because it gets like as he gets older, it still happens. Like Me Too happened, and no, like people kind of make fun of him for it, but like nobody really ever like shames him or distances from him or puts him in the
Who?
same situation. Leo, like he kind of just
Leo?
seems
No,
to
yeah.
get
It's not
away with
just him, man.
everything.
There's a bunch of people getting away with everything, and
Bro,
that's
like
why
the fucking
I'm
guitarist from the
mind
Red Hot
blown.
Chili
I would
Peppers is fucking a 19-year-old right now, and he's
like
like 70 something.
if you tell me that Diddy did some foul, fucked up shit to some grown women, I believe it. I don't think that it would be rape though. I really don't, because I think that I know for a fact that all these men, same as the women, get the other gender thrown at them all the time, right? So if you're fucking Selena Gomez, you probably have a bunch of male groupie fans, right? And if you want to indulge in the male groupie fans that you have, you can. You know what I mean? And it's very easy for you to do whatever you want to them and treat them however you want to treat them. Same thing with the male artists, right? So like Diddy, Jay-Z, Usher, all these people, they definitely had groupies, but they're not the only ones. Because like, let's keep going down the list. Go down the laundry list. Who's your favorite artist? The Eagles, the Ramones, they had groupies that they treated like shit too. Everybody did. Dave Matthews Band, fucking Sugar Ray, fucking everybody who's anybody, everybody ever. Linkin Park, they've all had groupies that they treated like shit, that they probably smutted out and did all sorts of fucked up shit to, right? So like, but the thing is that there's a bag in it with Diddy and with Jay-Z and with people like that because they stayed wealthy, they stayed relevant. So it's something you can go after and chase after. You know, these other rock stars would go. You know, stars go down. Nobody cares anymore. And then also, I just think that the white fucking groupies were just kind of fucking better at being groupies and taking abuse. You know, white women are great, notorious
No,
for
you know,
fucking
on some real
taking
shit,
abuse.
like when you say that, in the 60s, there was actually a magazine published for teenage girls to train them to fuck rock stars. And that was
Hmm.
just socially acceptable shit. Like they would just bang 16-year-old like all of them. Like the Led Zeppelin dude was fucking 16-year-olds and 14-year-olds and shit, and everyone just was cool with it cuz that was just some rock star shit. And like I don't know. It was and everyone's just gives all these people a pass because it was quote unquote of the times, but still
Oh,
kind of
okay.
weird.
Hold. Let's see. Pull the thing back up for September. Okay, and Chris got answers for it. I could tell you from looking at him if it is. Or are you talking about wait Noah? Or are you talking about Jordan Neely?
No, dude.
No. Wait. Can let me see this. What's
I don't
that?
know.
Second moon? Uh,
Wait a second, man. Earth had a temporary second moon, an asteroid named 2024 PT5. It was about the size of a school bus. And I guess when you looked up, it looked like we had two moves. moons. I didn't know about none of that. I don't know, Chris.
I don't know either. Don't matter, man. All good. All Kim, Chris. You're relieved from your duties, buddy. No need to keep on racking your brain trying to figure out a way to fucking find out who that guy is. I really don't even care.
The insignificant guy.
Insignificant guy proves that he would never make top 3 of the year list.
Watch 100 years from now, somebody's laughing at our video because that guy turned out to be the most important and influential person of the millennia.
I mean, doubt it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm willing to put a year's salary on that.
I am not.
Yeah, man, crazy year.
Yeah.
For me, it was a good year. Did you see my post of my share that? Let's share that. Let's share that.
What post?
Let it get flagged so that I can get paid from that too.
What are you talking about? What post?
Go to my Instagram page, my personal Instagram page, Liddy Bro Flacco, at Liddy Bro Flacco.
Let me make sure nothing bad is up. Alright. Liddy Bro Flacco. Wait, no, zoom, boom, boom, boom. This? What post?
Yeah, that one. The movie, 2024. The movie.
Oh shit, I was gonna hear it on this browser.
I couldn't hear shit, for sure. Do you have share audio on?
Maybe not. Let me try again.
Liddy Bros.
There you go, buddy.
Liddy Bros. It's Liddy Bros.
Maybe black means you're heavy.
I don't think so.
It look like LA lights. We dress like Miami Vice. It feel like NYC in the summer at night. This that big city energy, big city lights. This that big city life. This that big city nights. Concrete paradise, big city energy. This that West Side Highway at 5 in the morning. Sun's about to come out. I ain't even yawned yet. Uptown, headed round my way. Gentrifiers beware, don't come over here. 152 Cortland, don't go over there. RPT Belmont, don't go over there. The Bronx is killing niggas, wholesale, don't go over there. Nah, Rick Moretta's got punched in his face. New York City back, bitch, it ain't fucking safe. Don't go over there.
Block, hey yo, G-Unit the bop, hey yo, Uzi gon' rock, hey low, don't fuck with the dots, hey hoes, don't fuck with the ops, they know, don't go over there, oh yeah, they know, don't go over there, please, don't go over there, 196, please, wanna go, please, that's some hell, don't go over there, Sam, you, come on, don't go over there.
Look at me, it didn't look at you. You gotta move for me, I don't move for you. Nah. LA for breakfast, Dykeman for lunch. Yeah. Brass nuts stay pointy as fuck. I'm spiking the punch. Yeah. Modified toaster. Swallow my whole dick. Overqualified, I get the bonus. Yeah. Brooklyn's favorite best I voice, nigga. I don't have an inside voice now. Outside since the pandemic, yeah, kumbaya and I'm transgressing. Ducking the beast like I'm athletic, yeah. I fuck with who I fuck with, rap I fucking niggas up with bros, I fuck niggas up with.
Get on the block, hey yo, G-Unit the bot, hey yo, Uzi gon' rock, lay low, don't fuck with the dots, hey hoes, don't fuck with the ops, they know, don't go over there, oh yeah, they know, don't go over there, don't go over there, when I leave, don't go over there, send me over there, come on, don't go over there,
What an amazing year.
Yeah, it was
Fucking fantastic. You made the role.
it was a good time.
Good time in
good
Puerto
party.
Rico.
It's a fun time, yeah. I enjoyed
Good
that a
times in
lot.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it too. It was a great year. 2024 was a fantastic year. I look forward to what 2025 brings. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I could top 2024. It was so good.
I mean, you could
What was
definitely
that?
top it.
What was in there? There was 3 trips to Philly, a trip to New Orleans, a trip to Puerto Rico, like 4 performances.
I got
A
to
lot of
just drive the whole year. You know what? That was such an elevation. Just the whole year. Freedom at a level where, like, not only that, I made money driving, which made it better.
I remember when I first met you, you didn't even drive.
Well, I mean, I had a license, but, like, no car. And so, like,
No
it was,
car. Definitely you
and then,
weren't like volunteering for driving in New York City back then when I first met you.
I mean, I'm
Now it
still
feels like you will do it.
I'm hesitant. I feel like there's a learning curve to New York City still, where it would be a little stressful. But I
You'll
think I
learn.
would adapt quicker than like not, because y'all are aggressive and I'm an aggressive driver. If anything, my Uber ratings have shown I get in trouble for being a little liberal with the law, and not everyone is as comfortable as I am with speeding and burning red lights and shit. So, I feel like I do all right in New York. I'd just be worried about
Probably.
parking. When we get to parking on a busy street, oh my word, that sounds like so stressful. Not excited for it.
Parking on a busy street that's a one way that all the traffic behind you has to wait until you park.
Oh, sounds terrible. I give those people shit in Montreal on them little streets. I can only imagine the like amped up New York version. But
That's like my favorite. Like literally, when we went to Puerto Rico for boys' trip, the vacation before that one with you, Frank was doing all the driving and he needed me to do the parallel parking for him. Because where he's from, there's no more park. Like he's from New York City, but he's been living out in where he's at so long that he doesn't parallel park no more. And then even in New
us,
York City, he lived out in Far Rockaway where like his parallel parking didn't have to be incredible like that, you know?
right? Yeah, there's
And
some
I'm
spots.
definitely a parallel parker. I get the
I,
mathematics behind it. Super simple.
I mean, I could.
Angles. It's all about angles.
I very rarely have to like give up on a spot, but most of the time I can do it. But I will sometimes embarrassingly have to hit the spot like 4 times before I can hit the angle right, and Cause like I just pay for parking in my building, so I don't have to deal with that shit for the most part. And then with Uber, you also don't really have to parallel park because you can just double park and wait. So I don't really do it a lot. And so when I do have to do it, I fucking like. It's not my favorite part of driving, but we get through it. We get through it. I'd be okay pissing off drivers in New York City and then just dealing with it. But yeah, it's good to be able to know I can just drive down. Yeah.
Yep. A different
That's
day
the
and
part
time.
where
I mean, word. Now that Trudeau's out, right? Then Canada should be in the okays with Trump. It should be good to go.
we have no idea.
We will see.
Like we don't know who's in charge of
Imagine
the
Trump picks a
Liberals.
fight with you guys. It's like, man, fuck Canada.
He's kind of low key doing that, but then the thing is the
I mean, he
Pierre
low
Poilievre
key said fuck Canada with the Drake and Kendrick beef, right?
So like the thing is like if this Pierre Poilievre guy gets in, he's gonna go on some fuck Trump shit now, because Trudeau didn't, and that's gonna be his angle. And I think it's just gonna be all kinds of shit storm sandwich on trade agreements, and things that we've taken for granted for a long time are gonna end, and like it's gonna suck, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll see how it actually plays out. But yeah, I guess that's it's about 3 hours now that we ran
3
this.
hours. Right.
That's a good time to end it all. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna figure out who we rating here. I think I went to 1 second. And then yeah, we will catch y'all next Monday at 7 p.m. for our next stream.
And we never read Lindell's comment.
Oh, we could do that. We could read the comment real quick.
Right. I don't know if Lindell's even here anymore.
Lindell's probably still here. Okay, so
Probably
on
fell
Monday's
asleep
show,
hearing us arguing about
Flacco.
fucking.
You know what? He probably was distracted, but waiting for his moment to come back in.
Right.
But anyway, so Lindell,
If
if you're not here, you can always watch this on the Perspectives YouTube later. But he said, okay, so on Monday's show, Flacco said that he wasn't familiar with the Eagles band, where he was disconnected from the Eagles band, being born in the mid-'80s, exposed to being born to the '80s, and he's not alone. I found that people who are born in the '80s tend to remember the basics about the decade because the '80s was an offshoot of the '70s, which is important to know because most people only remember as far back as 4 or 5 years old when they started preschool.
Right.
If you were born in,
so that will be 1984 for me.
Right.
Or 1985.
If you were born in 1985, which is closer to me, you're 5 years old in 1990 when you entered preschool. There's even a difference in early 80s hit songs versus late 80s hit songs, making it hard for a person looking back on that particular decade to get a good grasp at anything besides the basics. Don Henley, I didn't even know Don Henley was in the Eagles when we were talking about that shit before. Anyway, Don Henley.
I don't even know who the fuck Don. I still don't know who the fuck Don Henley is. I'm like, you saying the name like it's like, what? I'm like, bro, I got no fucking clue who this person is.
I
like,
just only know because we before I listened to that one song.
I tell you this,
that I knew.
you want to know who I just got started listening? You know whose music I just started listening to?
Lindell is there. I told you Lindell would be there.
Nah, for sure. I'm. That's what I smiled at earlier. Gotta finish the thing.
Yeah, Don Henley left the Eagles in 1980 prior to Flacco being born. So no, the same year Flacco was born is what we've learned since. So he would not be familiar with this happening, although probably to Lindell's point, he would still not be aware.
I'm familiar with Michael Jackson leaving the Jackson 5.
What he would be familiar with is a couple of songs Don Henley would have made in the 80s, which we established he did not, without knowing who he was.
We went and go ahead, finish
a couple of those songs would be Dirty Laundry. Lindell, I don't know what the fuck Dirty Laundry is. We both listened to Dirty Laundry before the stream. I don't know what the fuck.
Before the stream, we both listened to both the songs.
But Boys of the Summer, I was like, really? You don't know that?
I don't know that song either.
I'm like, anyway, but it was covered, I'm pretty sure, by something. and I'm pretty sure a cover of Boys of the Summer might have been in the Digimon movie, and that's why I know it. And I don't think you're of an age where you would have watched Digimon, to be honest, Flacco. I think you're a little older than that. But I could be wrong about what I just said, but there was some band that covered Boys of the Summer that made it popular again, which most people will know, even if they don't know who made it, making the 80s decade the most impactful on today's culture, music-wise, fashion-wise, movie-wise, and even video game-wise.
I mean, yeah, this is all an opinion, and that's fine. I'm not mad at that part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody has an opinion. I was just watching one of those car renovation shows on Netflix. I watch one called Tex Mex Auto something. I forget what it's called. And the guy was he was redoing a Stingray, and he was also redoing a Celine Mustang, which is the boxy Fox Mustang from the 90s. And when he made that, when he was doing that, when he was saying how like all these 90s cars are super back in style, and it's just like the 80s were just back in style. What's back in style is like that works the way fashion works. Fashion is cyclical, and fashion comes back around. And these old cars, they're gonna come back around, and every era has its time to shine. As you pass more time, you start missing it more. And as young people get older, and then as older people die, so like right now, you got a bunch of 90-year-olds dying, right? So that means that the nostalgia for the 1920s and the 1930s and the 1940s is kind of out the window, because the people who were born in those years are kind of dying or dead. You know what I mean? So the nostalgia dies with them. And then it's up to us, younger generations, to either say, hey, we give a fuck or we don't give a fuck. And what usually comes with that is like, something like The Great Gatsby. A director will cover The Great Gatsby, and then now you got a whole new generation of young people dressing up like it's the Roaring '20s and giving props to the '20s, and now they're listening to fucking 1920s music and exploring the 1920s because they care about it, because they watch fucking Leonardo DiCaprio fucking do The Great Gatsby. You know what I mean? And the resurgence in like people caring comes from that, you know? I was born in 1980 in the Bronx, and the Eagles just really didn't matter much in my neighborhood, amongst my group of friends,
Right.
and that's it. I never heard of
That's
Dan
the
Henley.
facts of it.
The wife. So check it out. The wife and me. The wife is a huge. The wife knows a bunch of this white music, because the wife used to. Why are you laughing? Why is it? What the fuck? You make
The
it
way
seem
you
like I'm
worded it,
fucking
bro. It's hilarious. The way you
what?
worded it.
It's
It's a
white
tone of
music.
voice. Yeah, but the way you worded it, like she knows this shit. Like,
Yeah, the
you're
wife. The wife went to a Catholic school with a lot of white kids in Manhattan. It was a lot of mix because it's New York City, so it's gonna be a mix even then, right? Which is like the entitlement, right? Because most kids don't go to uh Catholic school in New York City because it is privatized and you have to pay. So like most kids go to public school. I was a public school kid. She had the privilege of going to private school, Catholic school, and going to school with white kids and having white friends that had money. And like she would go to their places and it'd be like, yo, because why? Because you're going to a private school in Manhattan, which is where the wealthy white people are, right? Sorry to break it to you, but like I didn't grow up in a fucking neighborhood where wealthy white people were around the corner. That's just not how it worked. And my mom and my father didn't work in Manhattan, so they didn't get to have their work addresses to put as their address of where we live so that I could get zoned to one of those schools. You know what I mean? And so my wife had that benefit. She had that privilege. That's a privilege. And so with that, she got to be around white kids. She also had a dentist that would play all this shit there. I didn't. My dentist experience only went for so far because my little brother was born with Down syndrome and a heart murmur. And he had to have open heart surgery multiple times. And with all his sicknesses, my parents couldn't afford to take me to the dentist. They couldn't afford to take me to any of that shit. So I'm sorry that I'm not privileged enough to have been in that with that situation, right? These are all just privileges, right? And my life situation was not that. So I was not around white people. I did not go to no dentist and have fucking 60s, 70s, 80s fucking pop fucking rock or whatever the fuck songs playing. I grew up in Eastchester Gardens projects in the Bronx. And in Eastchester Garden projects in the Bronx, everybody was playing hip hop. Even the rock pop music that I do know is of a certain, because I know Phil Collins, Feeling in the Air Tonight, right? I know that shit. Why? Because that was a black rock pop song. It was a white rock artist that made a rock song that went pop that black people happened to fucking adopt. DJs in the Bronx, DJs in hip hop adopted Phil Collins, Feeling in the Air Tonight. I remember growing up. That's why I constantly talk about Lisa Stanfield. We've been around the world and I. These are white artists that got a pass and approval by black people and black culture. And so that's the only reason I'm aware of them. That was the only reason. Because even the pop rock station that I would listen to in New York City, WBLS, steered and was geared towards it was a lot of fucking that what's the duo white guys duo what's the other white guy that people don't even fucking we didn't even know. Kevin on stage was making a video joke about not even knowing Kev on stage, white singer from 70s. Bobby Caldwell. Bobby Caldwell. This is the white music that makes it into the Bronx, Brooklyn, New York City, because WBLS is playing Bobby Caldwell, Lisa Stanfield. She might play, definitely gonna play uh uh
I have no idea.
the Eagles were not that though. So sorry to break it to you guys, but like WBLS did not play the Eagles.
I'm,
That's just
that's
all that it is. That's all it is.
it's well understood, Flacco, that the world
WBLS
that you
didn't
are
play the
in
Eagles.
did not play the Eagles. Understood.
That's it, man. That's it, man.
Which
It's
is
not like it's not a crazy, right?
it's
And
not
then,
crazy.
and so to answer the end of what he said, what was it he said about the '80s being the most popular decade?
He's still
That's
saying
only
it.
because it's only no in the original comment.
Uh, which most people will know, even if they don't know who made it, making the '80s decade the most impactful on today's culture on everything.
In today's culture right now, to you, right? But like you ask young kids right now, there's a bunch of young kids that will name a bunch of shit from all sorts of time eras and not know what came from when, right? Like, oh, that's just all from the 1900s, right? Like,
Facts.
I don't know if it's the 70s or the 80s or the 60s or the 90s. They don't care. They don't know, you know. And
They
a
don't
bunch of
know.
the shit that they love nowadays is from the 90s. You know what I mean? X-Men on Disney was X-Men 97, right? Like it's continuation of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. The 90s are really having a crazy resurgence right now, right? Like and then I think in another about 6 to 8 years, you'll start seeing the resurgence of. Let me explain this to you. So I was explaining this to when once upon a time around the year 2008, 2010. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yo, Lindell, there was like fucking 8 video games in the 70s. Like, that's a really weird comparison.
Right. 2010. In the year 2010, I had a conversation with my brother Jeff. And you know what the conversation was about? I was telling him we should sample 90s hip hop classics because it's been 20 years. I said to him, I said, bro, it's been 20 years. It's the year 2010 right now. We should sample 90s hip hop songs. You want to know why, bro? In the 90s, you want to know how Puff Daddy went crazy? P. Diddy, you want to know how he went and became a super millionaire? He had this genius idea to sample hit songs from the 70s, which was 20 years removed from the 90s. So what's 20 years removed from the 90s? 2000 motherfucking 10. So you know what that means? It's time to start sampling the fucking 90s. So you know what's going to happen in 6 years? We're going to be hitting the year 2030. So you want to know what's going to happen? You're going to fucking start hearing samples from 2000s, 2010s. Okay? You want to know why? Because people, it's going to be a nostalgia for that. People are going to be nostalgic for that era. And there's going to be, right now, we're in 2024, 25. So every kid born in 2000 is, we're talking about 25 years old right now. In another 5 years, they're going to be hitting 30. In another 10 years, they're going to be hitting 35. And guess what happens around those ages? You start getting nostalgic for your teenage years and for all the shit that you had growing up. And you want to buy yourself all the things you couldn't afford as a little kid. And just all these things. So like, and that's just every generation. Like that literally just happens every generation. Every generation. It's a cycle, bro.
Right.
This shit is all cycle.
Talking about video games in the 70s, they were fucking god awful.
They weren't a lot. They weren't a lot. They weren't a lot.
They were god awful by comparison to anything. They were cool and they were really niche. But like you can't, like GoldenEye is a video game that influenced video games because that shit was like brought first person shooters to a new level. They're like, there's a lot of games out there past the 80s
I think that Grand Theft Auto will get named.
The 2000s.
We were just talking about
era.
this.
Oh man,
we were just talking about this whole
games influenced
and
everything.
I don't think I think that Tetris will go down as one of the greatest games of all time. So Lindell, to your point, that agrees with your point, right? But like at the same time, I just think that Tetris, right? Like I was using that as an analogy for like there'll probably be a retro futuristic movement in the year 2050, 2060, 2070, where like people they're living life so vividly and life is a video game to the point that they're living Grand Theft Auto in their everyday life, so much so to the point where like there's gonna be like teenagers being like, oh, all these modern games are so trash. I like to play Tetris. So much realer. Some stupid shit like that. That's probably what's gonna happen in the year 2070, bro. You know what I mean? Why? Because there's always fucking young kids that don't want to fucking be a part of the group and want to be, oh, I do this. Actually, what I do. And that's part of being fucking teenager. And like, that's it. So like, it's great right now. The 80s were great in the sense that was the big boom of the video game movement, right? Like, I think that video games probably were invented in the 70s. But the big boom came in the 80s. But like, is the 80s more important than the 90s? Like that bro, that game is like, it's a silly game. It's more important to you because clearly you gave a fuck about that.
No, Lindell is obsessed with the 80s. There's no
you know what I mean?
Otherwise.
No, like, listen, man. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's somebody born 10 to 11 years after Lindell that's as passionate as Lindell is about the 80s, about the 90s. And then there's going to be a person born
about the 90s, and I'm about 10 years younger than Lindell.
There's going to be a person born 10 years after you that is way more passionate about the 2000s than you are about the 90s or Lindell is about the 80s. And guess what?
Everything.
And guess what? When fucking as you get older, you're gonna get more relaxed about all that shit. You know what I mean? You're just gonna get older and be like, man, whatever, sure, fine, cool. I feel it with myself. I don't want to argue with people about stupid shit. I argue with you about stupid shit on this show. I get tired of this shit. I don't want to fucking do this shit no more. So I can only imagine, that's why old people be like not giving a fuck. There's that thing about old people not caring. And like the older you get, you're not gonna care. And that 20-year-old is gonna be super passionate about that thing that he cares so much about, that point, that opinion that the 90s are a greater decade than the 2000s, or the 2000s are a greater decade than the 80s, but the 90s rock more than all of them. Like, man, bro, it's all opinion. Like, at the end of the day, every decade is pivotal to the people that it mattered to because they lived through it. And when we're all dead and gone, that shit don't matter nothing. Like, what? The people from the 1800s are all gone. Ain't none of them still around. And none of them could tell you which one is the best decade. And we just sit here and give a fucking Monday, a 1900s quarterback perspective about what we think is the best decade from the 1800s. No, you didn't say greater. You said more pivotal to right now, which I agreed with when he read that. I was like, yeah, probably right now. Most impactful right now. Yeah, probably right now. Even that, I don't know. Is it
I'm
because
like,
I would think
I
the
don't know,
90s, yeah,
cause like,
because
well, the
because
90,
because
well, cause yo,
like
like,
because of
but like then
GoldenEye, and GoldenEye is the first shooter, isn't it?
no, it's the first popular big shooter
Doom
that
is Doom
like
the first shooter? Which
Doom
is the
would be
first
like the
shooter?
first one, Doom, but that was in the
Doom.
90s. But GoldenEye is gonna be more culturally like if we're talking about shit that
Shooters are way
influenced
more
shit.
relevant right now than
Like
Pong or
you could
Tetris.
argue that
Like
Chuck
what got invented
Berry
in the 80s?
is the most influential thing because he inspired everything that came after him, and he was in the 50s. So, like you could always go back in time and talk about what did it, but like, yo, Grand Theft Auto is a perfect example of some shit that changed the game. Fucking Bethesda drops Morrowind and shit, changing
For
open
sure.
world games, all this in the fantasy world. Like, bro, the 2000s was insanity for what it did to change video
Supposed to
games.
be in 15, and you should heat up that food kind of starving.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
feeling
man.
food too. But yeah,
Listen,
all that to say, we
yeah,
answered your
all that to
comment, Lindell.
say, we answered your comment. I'm not mad at your opinion, bro. But I'm also, you know what, probably opposed. I was ready to agree with you, but and then Holden brought up GoldenEye, and I'm just thinking about shooters, and I'm just like, right now, kids don't give a fuck about Super Mario or any of that 80s shit. They give a fuck about shooting games, first person shooters. And then
And
even
I'm
then,
telling you,
hold. I got another point to bring up to this. I have been playing the same video game for 10 years. I play it on my phone. I don't give a fuck about a console. I don't own a console. I play my video game on my phone. And I've been playing the same video game for 10 fucking years. I spent thousands of dollars on this video game at this point, okay? Let me tell you something. I love this video game. It's a fucking fighter game, kind of like Street Fighter, which also came from the 90s. So, like, what? What are we talking about, bro? Like, definitely the 90s is more impactful than the 80s when it comes to video game culture right now. Right now.
I could see where he's saying where the 90s doesn't happen without the 80s, but shit got fucking 3D in the 2000s, so it's like you can't. Everything about that's gonna happen forever is gonna be based off of things like Metal Gear Solid. Actually, I don't know when Metal Gear Solid came out. Maybe that was the 90s. But anyway, I'm just saying it's definitely not the 80s.
I don't know.
Yeah,
All
no,
right, though
Metal
we
Gear
answered your
Solid's the
question,
90s.
Lindell.
So maybe the
Leave
90s is
another
there.
long diatribe on the video for this
Nobody's arguing that
video.
video games didn't get popular in the 80s. They happened there. You said impactful on culture and what decade and shit. That's what we're
Exactly.
arguing.
You
Anyway,
said
appreciate
the
all of
80s
you.
video games are most impactful
If
right
you
now.
guys leave long
So
ass comments as well, we'll read them and
we will
discuss
read
with
them.
you. And then you
I'll
could do that
fucking
too. And then we'll go through it all. We appreciate all of you watching. We'll be back next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we look forward to seeing y'all again next week. Appreciate everybody out there watching, and live long and prosper, everybody out there.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year indeed.